it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
See? No, why
Wendy
do you
Bell
do
Radio
that?
is live. What are you stomping like a horse? Count to 4.
Do you know what today is?
I played it. Hump day.
Thank you.
I played it.
I know. What do I say every time we come out of the video, Dingleberry?
I say Wendy Bell Radio is live. You say, hey, Brock, what day is it?
Uh-huh. I just said that. And then you're like, hey, baby. Mm-hmm.
You're dark.
I know. I have been struggling. Why do you think I've been tinkering with stuff? Because it's weird. It's like, it's super like not crisp. The image is not crisp. It's kind of fuzzy. Right? How do I look to you guys besides fabulous?
Maybe it's the...
What?
Wait.
While Brock is doing whatever the bejeebers
No, that's it. My color was down.
Do I look
My
fabulous?
brightness. Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Jag. All right. Well, hi, everybody. It's great to be with you. 1,200 people. We are breaking the internet. Everybody is coming to us. Do you know, I love this, that Graham Allen guy, Graham Allen?
Yeah.
He seems like a nice guy. I've never watched his show, but he's got like, what does he have? He's like 3 times our followers. And yesterday he's a 1-hour show and they gave him the big bucks for the whole show. And I think we beat him.
Did we?
Yeah. We're right there. Yeah. It was pretty interesting what you guys were able to do. We beat them because of you. Again, because of you. I want to tell you out of the gates, this is it for Harmony. This is the last day of the 20% off sale. No promo code needed. This is your complete organic pesticide. You are beyond that. Bug killer, organic insect control. Kills aphids, green fruit worms, brown and spotted mites, soil lice. I get itchy thinking about it. All these things. This is totally organic insect control. It is earth friendly, 100% non-toxic and safe for plants, people, and pets. Provides organic garden protection from seeding to harvesting, indoors and out, ready to use. Do not dilute. Shake before use. That's it. Bingo. Harmony. Go to disinfectwithsniper.com. Since you're getting it anyway, get Sniper.
Yeah.
The best house disinfectant antibacterial thing you'll ever have. Disinfectwithsniper.com. So we're going to talk about, I think, taking Caroline Leavitt in the second hour of the show. I'm not one often for the press conferences. However, I think this one on the heels of Trump not blowing up civilization and nuking Iran, which I was positive he was going to do. There's probably some pretty important information, at least to come out in the first 15 or 20 minutes. So if it's okay with you guys, I think, well, I don't care if it's okay with you. We're going to do it anyway, because I think it's important. Right. It's so interesting to listen to Trump and all of the people who are bitching about what he was doing. And then it sounds as though the off ramp, we've kind of steered towards the off ramp. Right. And now the left is pissed that it might be coming to an end. And you're like, well, which one is it? Which one do you want? Do you want war? Do you not want war? Is war awful? Is war necessary? What is it? Who are you today? Ireland contracting. Gary was at my house today on the nose, 7:30. Boys are walking out to go to school. Hello, Mr. Ireland. He comes in the house, goes upstairs, measures the 8 skylights. And I ask him, I'm like, Gary, we're putting on an addition on the back of the house. Should I do that before I put on? And he's like, that's your decision. I'm like, no. See, that's not helpful. I don't want you to tell me it's my decision. Is it going to get in your way if they come and do stuff? So anyway, I could have Ireland contracting in my driveway as early as Monday. How about that? How about he's squeezing me into the schedule? I'm like, I love you. How about we squeeze down that number a little bit? So we're going to make a deal. We'll see how it goes. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. IrelandContracting.com. Look, if you want somebody who does this for a living, this is what they do. It's not some shtick. They weren't bought by some venture capital firm or BlackRock. This is Southwestern Pennsylvania, born and bred. Treat you right. Wonderful people. Love them. And this is worrisome to me because I just put in a bunch of new landscaping, right? So I don't want to have them trample my new Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Come on now. We got 2,000 people. Ooh, we're getting an uptick. Let's go. There is literally no reason for us not to have 2,000 rumbles right now. Come on. The little thumbs up button. Let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Happy Hump Day here on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Delighted as always to spend a couple hours with you, 3 hours of common sense conservatism. This isn't complicated. It's not rocket science. It's listening to your inner normal and telling the truth. And that's what this program is all about, which is, as we watched yesterday, I was enraptured by the number of right-wing Trump allies, influencers, media personalities who jumped ship, who lost their minds. Somebody either paid off or they all collectively went haywire. I don't know, but here we are, standing where we always do, telling you the truth and doing it every single day. WendyBellRadio.com is how you follow along. The whole show is on a video live stream, and you can join in the chat, share your thoughts, be a part of the army. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Excuse me, a little frog in my throat. Okay, so yesterday, 90 minutes before deadline. Bring. Hello, Mr. President. Yes, we would like to make a deal. And so began the off-ramp for Iran, which I don't believe for a minute they're going to honor. I'd love to sit here and say, you know what, Trump is right. It's a big day. It's a headline on the New York Post. I stole the headline as today's title because this is what Trump says. He's like, look, this is a very big day. We have brought this country that has terrorized American citizens for almost half of a century and has terrorized the people of its own country for longer than that. We have brought them ostensibly, if not to their knees, at least to the negotiating table. So he said, what did he say? 2 weeks. We're going to have a 2-week ceasefire. Cooler heads hopefully will prevail. And then what did I just see? Iran is firing off missiles and rockets at Iran and its neighboring Middle Eastern countries. So proxies of the country, if not whatever vestiges remain of their arsenal, They're still firing off. I don't know what that's going to do to the ceasefire. I don't know what that's going to do to any of these peace negotiations. But I want to read you what President Trump said yesterday, Trump and Iran, agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire. Now, what's interesting here, and I think what might play out, I have absolutely no inside information whatsoever, but judging from what we know about this country, if the leaders, whomever is still somewhat in charge, who is able to basically tell the Iranian people, we need you and your families, particularly your little kids, to go over to the power plant and lock arms and join together. Think of it as kind of a photo op. We're all going to do like one of those Christmas selfies, like cheese, right? No, but what we're going to do is we're going to create a human shield, and you are it. And if you don't go, well, then we know that you won't go because we could track you and we will take necessary action. How else do you think the Iranian people show up for this stuff? Because they're deeply connected and committed to the regime, because they're loyal to the Ayatollah or whomever vestige is left of him? No. They don't have internet. Only, I would imagine, a scarce few have access to information. And what do you have in Iran, too? Oh, that's right. They don't have guns. They don't have firearms. Iranian people don't. So they're sitting freaking ducks. Isn't it amazing that this is what the Democrat Party wants to do to you every time some shooting comes around? Oh, too many guns. Restrict the guns. No more guns. And it's like, really? I'm not really having a gun to protect from home invaders. I'm protecting myself from the freaking government. I don't know about you. So they say, yes, we'll agree to this 2 weeks. Everybody will chillax for a while. We won't fire stuff at each other. Iran is still firing rockets at other people. So we'll see how Caroline Levitt today in the second hour of the show discusses that. I don't believe for a minute that Iran is going to agree to never again, and will keep its promise to never again have nuclear ambitions, because their goal is to kill people who don't believe what they believe. It's not about converting you. You're either in or you're out. And if you're not in, then you dead. This is the prevailing philosophy of these radical Shia clerics, right? Who have no intention of giving up the one thing they want, which isn't peace and harmony and freedom and free trade and endless oil and everybody to live peacefully, joyfully, and for a golden age. They want death to America. They want death to Israel. And I highly doubt they're going to say, you're right. We have been bad people. So we'll see what happens. President Trump says a big day. Now, this is obviously bad news for the whole world order, the new liberal world order, where you're supposed to be squeezed by skyrocketing oil prices. Because what happened just a moment after they announced it? Trump putting it out. Oh, that's right. U.S. oil prices fell over 18% in like the first hour after the ceasefire was declared. This is terrible news for the deep state. Terrible news. They don't want peace. They don't want affordable gas. They don't want tariffs coming in and knocking down the debt. They don't want a small government. They don't want your children being controlled by you. They don't want quality education. They don't want any of this. Isn't that a damn shame? Well, that's the truth. After Donald Trump and Iran's Supreme National Security Council announced they each agreed to the ceasefire, West Texas Intermediate crude oil futures dropped below $100 per barrel to its lowest point since at least late March. And that is most assuredly not what anybody wants to see if they want to hate on Donald Trump. So this is what the president, truth last night, which scooped all of the media. I love that. In one fell swoop, he has Bigfooted all of the media out of the conversation. And he's like, why do you listen to them? Just listen to me. I'll tell you what's going on. And so last night at 6:33 p.m., an hour and a half before the deadline, before he was going to destroy, completely obliterate, civilization, really? He writes this: based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with the definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America, as president, and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. On behalf of the United States of America as president, and also representing the countries of the Middle East. This is so much bigger than just the 3 words that President Trump said, a big day. In just about a year and 3 months, this president has completely transformed the image of the United States of America on the world stage as being one not to fiddle with. Don't lie to us, don't backstab us, and when we ask for help, if you do not, we won't forget. And you want to be our allies. This representation of the United States president standing up and voicing for the Middle Eastern countries is something I never expected, certainly not in my lifetime. And there it was. So from here, where do we go? Well, you need to hear what Larry O'Donnell over at MSNBC said last night. It wasn't about peace. It wasn't about nuclear. It wasn't about, my goodness, is a reign of terror finally over? No, that's not what he cared about. This you can't miss next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Oh, Larry. So, apparently CNN decided to spread some fake news.
News to them.
So, yeah, right. So this is the deal that they always do. So we're going to talk about that. President not too pleased about that, but that's all right. We'll figure it out. I want to tell you, before we move forward, getting help, losing weight ought not be something only for people who have deep pockets. That is why the price point of GLP-1 Gold, which is the product from Juvenon that acts as a natural stimulant of this GLP hormone in your body that basically tells your body you've had enough to eat, and so you don't have to continue. And when you're not hungry, you don't eat, right? The shots do that, but they're expensive, right? They lead to a lot of questions and doubts. Not Juvenon's GLP-1 Gold. What you spend on this, which is probably about $1 a day, you're not going to have the roll the dice. I don't know what's in it. It's all right here for you. You can read all the ingredients and see. It's not going to give you weird side effects. You're not going to go bonkers, but you are going to lose weight for about $1 a day. All of the things on Juvenon's website, bloodflow7.com/Wendy, are 30% off. That's how much they love this audience. All of it. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. One more time. It's called GLP-1 Gold. This is what it looks like. And right now, you're going to get it for 30% off. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. So what else is going on out there, guys? It is hump day. It is hump day. I did just kind of drop it on Brock. I'm like, I'm kind of thinking that we should have that press conference in an hour. And he's like, great. Thanks for the heads up. And I have to love this. So he had a call with Rumble last night. We're going to change some things, maybe change some software that they use. They're really excited to work with us. And the guy who Brock was talking to thought we had some big team. Like all sorts of members of our staff were going to be on this conference call. And Brock is like, it's 2 of us. And the guy was like, I'm sorry? And Brock was like, yeah. Wendy does the, sales and the talking. And I pretty much do everything else.
That's nice.
And the guy was like, okay. Super proud of my friend for keeping it together for me. Thank you.
I will give Rumble credit.
Uh-huh.
They completely upgraded their software, and it shows.
President Trump is launching an investigation into CNN for apparently pushing a fraudulent Iranian ceasefire statement, and says CNN may have broken the law, may have committed a crime. I'm going to read you what this statement was on behalf of Sayed Abbas Aragashi. This is a guy who's putting this out on behalf of the Supreme National Security Council of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And he writes this. And this came out 40 minutes after President Trump truthed out the two-week ceasefire. It says, on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I express gratitude and appreciation for my dear brothers. And he's talking about the Pakistan guy who's, creating this liaison off-ramp and negotiations. In response to the brotherly request of the Prime Minister Sharif in his tweet, and considering the request by the U.S. for negotiations based on its 15-point proposal, as well as an announcement by POTUS about acceptance of the general framework of Iran's 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiations, I hereby declare on behalf of the Iran's Supreme National Security Council, if attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operations for a period of 2 weeks. Safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination with Iran's armed forces and with due consideration of technical limitations, whatever that means. So, apparently, that's not exactly what CNN decided to put out. And that's kind of a little bit of a problem. I'm going to pull it up for you here, so hold on. President Trump just dropped this nuclear truth social bomb on the corrupt fake news media, announcing the 2-week and 2-sided ceasefire, agreeing to pause planned military strikes, blah, blah, blah. The reason for all of this he puts out in his post, and then he shared exactly with you with everybody what I just read from Iran. However, this is what Donald Trump said later. He said an alleged statement put out by CNN World News is a fraud, as CNN well knows. The false statement was linked to a fake news site out of Nigeria, and of course immediately was picked up by CNN and blared out as a legitimate headline. And what basically Iran was doing is saying that they had made Trump bow to their demands, that we're going to pay for their reconstruction, that they're going to control the Strait of Hormuz, and that basically Donald Trump failed and this was a bad mission. That was what CNN put out because it was generated out of some source from Nigeria. And so Donald Trump is saying, you know what, we're going to come after you. That's fake news. And you can't, in times of war, fiddle like that. How dare you? So I wonder what's worse. CNN's fake news that Iran said that it had won, that the United States had lost, and that was the deal. Or Larry O'Donnell from MS Now taking away this sliver of Pete Hegseth's press conference the other day about no man being left behind. Let's listen into Larry.
That brilliant rescue was described by the Secretary of Defense and by General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as a long-standing American military rule of never leaving anyone behind.
We leave no man behind.
That is, of course, the old-school version of the idea back when only men flew American military planes. General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, put it this way.
We leave no one behind.
The general knows, unlike Pete Hegseth, that could have been a woman they were trying to rescue, and it might be a woman the next time.
You know, I don't like to give morons like Larry O'Donnell oxygen, particularly not on my show. But why would anybody ever watch such freaking drivel? You're going to take umbrage with the vernacular, with the particular word that was chosen, Larry? You ignorant dolt. What a feckless and small little person you are. So this is what CNN had put up about Iran. This was CNN's breaking news. It wasn't President Trump. It wasn't his tweet. It wasn't his truth, rather. This is what they said. Headline: Iran claims victory, says it forced U.S. to accept 10-point plan. What? Iran says it has achieved a great victory and forced the United States to accept its 10-point plan, according to a statement from Iran's Supreme National Security Council report by Iran state media. Oh, we're playing telephone now. As part of the plan, the U.S. has in principle agreed to lift all primary and secondary sanctions against Iran and to withdraw U.S. combat forces from all bases in the region, the council said. It has also agreed to accept Iran's nuclear enrichment. What? In what world? And recognized its continued control over the Strait of Hormuz. According to the council, controlled passage through the waterway would be carried out, quote, in coordination with Iran's armed forces. President Trump was absolutely right to call that out. CNN is working as a loud, vocal propagandist lapdog partner of the Democratic Party and the deep state that sure as hell don't want peace. It's the same way they don't want you to be healthy. There is no money if you're not sick. There is nothing to bitch about and to complain about when the world is at peace. And then all of a sudden, all of the silos, all of the bombs and incoming that you're trying to strike off against this president and this administration kind of fail to reach distance, don't they? What a despicable outfit CNN is. An absolute disgrace. Take them down, Mr. President. Coming up, crazy and unhinged, or just the right tone and tenor for terrorists? You decide. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Phew. That was so obnoxious. It has also agreed to accept Iran's nuclear enrichment. In what world? None. Texas Bullion Exchange. I got to talk to you guys about my friends at Texas Bullion Exchange. Look, you don't even necessarily have to talk to them. I don't know why you wouldn't, because I find it so helpful when somebody excited on the other line gives me a brief education about why precious metals investing now is like the smartest thing you can do. Now, Texas Bullion Exchange, when I talk to them, they say some people believe the number is 25%. That you should have 25% of your wealth connected to precious metals. That's a lot. It's a lot. How about we get the door open, right? And the party started a little bit with this. This is what they're showing you there, the gold buying guide. It comes in this packet of information. There you go, right? 866. Is that the number? Oh my gosh, I just totally lost it. I'll remember it once it stops. WendyLovesGold.com. So many reasons to get in touch with them, but their protection, the or the principal protection program, they guarantee you will not sell your gold or silver back to them if you want to for less than what you bought it for. That's it. 855-927. Thank you. 5557 855-927 5557. WendyLovesGold.com. I've bought from them twice. I tell you every time. If I'm not going to use my sponsors, how am I supposed to think you will? Right? Also, hold on. I get this morning. I wake up to this from Kelly. She's from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and she writes, "Holy smokes. I applied the velour massaging oil to my hands and neck last night, and it is absolutely amazing. My dad always said that you could tell a woman's age by her neck and her hands. It's probably true. Not that my hands look bad, but my neck was starting to show my 64 years of age. Wow. Wow, she said. Thank you so much. This is what it looks like. This is certainly not the only product. You can see it has these Soothe essential oils in it. If you go to tulipblooms.shop/Wendy, you'll get this main page, and their stuff is magnificent. I got this really great, it tells you all of the different kinds of products they have. It's just fascinating. Their stuff is second to none. I'm just going to say, I've gotten body butter. I've gotten this relief, this Tulip Soothe, which is for, if you get sore back here or wherever you carry your stress, you rub it in. I'm telling you, it's the real deal. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you about their blue soothing facial serum. But I hadn't even thought about that on the neck. I'm going to totally go for it on the neck. Oh, Brock's holding his. Men love it too.
Fight it.
That's right. Now you guys can tell me, you know what? Your neck is fabulous. And I'll be like, duh. Tulip Blooms. I love this stuff. I've never gotten into, let's just say body oils and things of that nature. But cuticles, feet, elbows, your belly, everything. It feels so much better with this rubbed into it. And it's not greasy.
So
thanks, Kel.
We'll have, so you can continue to monitor.
Okay.
Caroline Levitt. I'll make sure the sound is there right away.
Okay.
And then once she starts, you need to turn that TV off so I can do it here.
Okay.
So you guys will get it at the beginning, just not the video, and we'll work the video in.
The reason why I'm kind of cramming in some of my reads for you, my sponsor conversations that I have with you, is I have no idea what's going to happen in this thing, and I want to make sure we have. If she talks for 40 minutes and it's good for 40 minutes and it's necessary, we'll hang in. But if it's not, we'll ditch out. But I'd like to give it a go, if that's all right with you all.
Well, I think you should ask me first.
How do you feel about that, Brock?
It doesn't matter.
I'm asking you. Really?
No, I think since we took President Trump, I have an understanding of how I need to do this. But I do want you to be able to monitor it. And so you can talk into it. While you start talking into it, that's when you turn it off. And
okay.
But I can have the audio up and ready.
I have to admit, that feels very nice.
We use my direct TV stream. That's why I can only have it on so many computers.
Right.
And it's on the TV in there. It's on my screen here so we can have the sound. I'm going to be right off.
You can do whatever you want. Write it off. I don't care.
No, I don't think I can. I don't have enough. That's the thing about taxes. Unless you have enough write-offs, doesn't matter.
You just want to borrow a couple of my kids for that? No?
As long as you keep paying the food bill.
Wow.
I've seen them eat.
I love you guys. How about that? I love you guys. Can you get a load of what CNN published last night? I mean, that makes me so angry. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, you realize that people have biases. I tell you that every day on this program, often enough at least, right? And I say to you, I'm not an impartial observer. I'm hook, line, and sinker, 100% born and bred, true red, conservative Catholic woman, right? I believe in all of the same things you believe in. I'm completely biased. I do not believe Democrats are good for society. I think they are a clear and present danger. I think the party has been hijacked by a progressive wing of crybabies that needed to be punched in the face a long time ago. But you've got a very weakling, emasculated, overly feminized, woke Democrat Party. They're indistinguishable, right? If somebody from the 1960s hyperspaced into 2026, they'd be like, what the hell happened to the Democrat Party, period. Meantime, that right-wing MAGA extremism, because, you know, there's an extreme branch of making America great again. Isn't that so dumb? Isn't that just so dumb how they're like, Hakeem Jeffries, extreme MAGA Republicans. How can you be an extremist when it comes to wishing well for your country, right? That's the kind of radical I want to be. I'm biased. I'm pro-Trump 100% because I know what the alternative is. And it sucks for America. So CNN puts out yesterday, they're mystified. Like, where did all of our viewers go? Nobody pays attention to us anymore. Oh, I don't know. Lying blatantly that even after we blew you into the Stone Age, and as Trump's finger was proverbially on the button to what? Completely neutralize civilization over there, that he was going to accept them being able to enrich uranium. Like that was going to be his, well, okay. I mean, we got this close, but you got me. Okay, you go ahead and do you. Like in what world? In what world? They are so lame about hiding their propaganda. It's in plain view. He should go after them. And by the way, they're obviously the jackasses who leaked the details of there was a missing pilot that launched Iran's bounty to find him and led to that harrowing Easter Sunday resurrection of a U.S. airman. I want to start with this. You know, the people who say that Donald Trump was crazy and unhinged, did you see what he wrote on Easter Sunday? Of all days. Oh my gosh. He said, open the effing straight, and he didn't say effing. He said that word. And then he called the Iranian regime crazy bastards. Like, and we're all like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. Now, I'm going to spend 2 minutes here off the top recalling what those crazy bastards, the Iranian death machine, what they've done to Americans over the last 47 years. Just so we all have a little bit of point of historical context. November 1979, Iranian students backed by the regime seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 66 Americans hostage for 444 days. Remember that? 1983, Islamic Jihad, an Iran-backed terrorist group, carried out a suicide car bombing at the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, killing 17 Americans. October 1983, Iran-backed Hezbollah terrorists killed 241 U.S. military personnel, including 220 U.S. Marines, 220 U.S. Marines, and 21 other service personnel in a truck bombing at a Marine compound in Beirut. March 1984, Iran-backed Islamic Jihad terrorists kidnapped CIA station chief William Buckley on his way to work in Beirut, ultimately killing him the following year. I'm on 1984, ladies and gentlemen. Here's 1985, 1989, 1995, 1996. More than 1,000 body bags more than 1,000 flag-draped coffins. They are crazy bastards. Damn right. I want you to hear this, though. Jesse Waters last night, which was pretty interesting. We need to talk about beyond just the United States and Israel versus this terror regime. It broadens out to something so much bigger with China. China basically is the real squeeze here. They get so boned out of all of this. Peace here, America controlling the strait, America controlling the oil on those tankers coming through. This is so bad for Beijing. It's not even funny, and I love it. Here's Jesse Waters. He's like, look, China begged the Iranians to take the deal. No boots on the ground. Open up the strait. We need our oil. And just one unhinged Easter tweet caught the world's attention and threw Iran off balance.
Trump just got Iran to cry uncle. They've been calling him crazy for making threats, but guess the threats worked. The strait's on its way to being opened, and Iran's promising to stop firing missiles and drones. The next 24 hours will be the test. If oil tankers start sailing through, we're on our way to officially ending this and hitting the president's 6-week time frame. If they play games, back to bridge and power plant day. The mullahs should know better. Their economy's in a depression. Heavy industry like steel, petrochemicals, and their military-industrial complex have been obliterated. People were already taking to the streets during the last economic crisis, and now it's 10 times worse. All morning, we were peppering their crown jewel, Karg Island. That's something Iran can't afford to lose. And our B-52s are already on their way to theater today, but Iran had no choice. The New York Times is also reporting China begged the Iranians to take the deal, saying their economy couldn't take it anymore. The regime was backed into a corner, and the president believed that sending in soldiers to open up the strait and seize Karg wouldn't be wise.
What do you need when you want to make a deal? If you want to come out on the plus side of that deal, you need leverage. You need trump cards in your hand. You need something with which to negotiate. You need a perceived edge. You need to knock your opponent off balance. You need them off kilter. You need them thinking that you're crazy and that you're crazy enough to do something so ridiculous like nuke an entire country. Did anybody out there honestly sit there and say, I cannot believe that it sounds like Donald Trump is going to drop a nuclear warhead on Iran? He's going to kill everybody. Oh my God. I was like, why did Megyn Kelly say that? Why is Candace Owens losing her mind? Why is Tucker Carlson acting like a jerk? Why is Alex Jones chirping out the same stuff? Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that Trump needs to be 25th Amendmented, right? It's so ridiculous. I want you to hear retired Vice Admiral Robert Harwood. He's on with Laura Ingraham last night. And he's like, look, I lived in this area through multiple presidents, and in none of them were we respected. In none of the Middle Eastern countries have, for the last, 10, 20 years, has America been feared? Has America had any kind of deterrence effect on these rogue actors who wish to terrorize much of the planet? Here is retired Vice Admiral Robert Harwood.
I've lived in the region for the last 12 years through 4 different administrations. And what I was hearing previous to this event, they did not trust the United States anymore. They did not respect the United States. But more importantly than anything else, they did not fear the United States. So we had lost all deterrence. The president and this administration have corrected that and changed the paradigm diametrically different. They went into Venezuela. And this president, unlike any president, is the most open, transparent, and vocal we've seen. He tells you what he's thinking, and then he does it. So he said we're going into Venezuela. He said we're going to strike Iran. He said he's going to recover our pilot. He did all those things. So that's what made this possible. The Iranians know he was going to take them to the Stone Ages. So deterrence is back on the table. And then finally, I would add, I think most importantly, based on the recovery of the pilot and what our military has done, we can do anything and everything in Iran we want to do. And the regime knows that. Their days, they were on their deathbed.
And so what's the deep state's only solution? Lie about the agreement. Isn't that crazy? So this guy on X, who goes by the handle The Band Beard, has a timely message to everybody out there desperate to say that Iran won and that America and this president lost, right? They use their own people as human freaking shields. And Trump exposed their hand in that. Listen.
Nothing says you're winning a conflict against the United States more than using your people as human shields. See, we've stopped bombing Iran in a temporary ceasefire, and you guys are mad and said Donald Trump gave in. You were mad when Donald Trump was bombing them into the Middle Ages. Now you're mad because he stopped. You guys said Iran wasn't negotiating with the United States, and it turns out they have been negotiating with the United States. You say we're losing this conflict, yet Iran has put its own people on the bridges. They've put them around infrastructure and around energy and power sources because we were going to target them next. And you have the audacity to claim that they're winning? They're using their people as human shields, something we told you that they do, and you denied it. And they put it on display for the world to see, and you're still standing with Iran. You're still thinking Iran is winning. You're still thinking that Iran is not negotiating. Y'all just aren't that bright.
I think it's well beyond that. Donald Trump killed 3 birds with one Easter morning warning shot. He exposed the depths of Iran's evil as they brought out those kids to be human shields, right? He's getting a deal going that allegedly involves Iran giving up its nuclear ambitions and basically giving the U.S. control of the world's oil flow from the Persian Gulf, which is pretty pivotal to China, considering they get 45% of theirs from the strait there, the Hormuz Strait. And Trump now has monster leverage in his tariff talks with Beijing. And number 3, the president flushed out his fake friends who showed their true colors when they turned on him. Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, members of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Scott Jennings on with CNN last night said, look, to bring a regime that chants death to America to its knees is one hell of a good thing. And I have no problem seeing very clearly who the good guys are in this battle.
Look, the bottom line of this conflict is this is a country that for 47 years has been run by religious fanatics that are desperate to bring about the end of the world with a nuclear weapon. Their principal mantras are death to America and death to Israel, and he is trying to prevent that. I'm not really having trouble seeing the right and the wrong here, or the moral versus the immoral. I believe in the righteousness of this mission. I think most Americans do, and I think it's pretty easy to tell the good guys from the bad guys here, but I'm hearing a lot of people in the air saying, I don't really know.
The question is, Abby Phillip, can you never not interrupt him? How about you put a cork in it, sweetness? Well, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, sometimes you just got to say it. Listen to 2 white liberal dudes psychoanalyze the leader of the free world. It is really quite interesting, you guys. What entertainment for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
So why would you ever believe CNN again?
You wouldn't.
Right?
You wouldn't.
CNN tweeted out, Iran says it's halting traffic in the Strait of Hormuz after Israel attacked Lebanon, testing fragile ceasefire deal. Follow live updates.
Why?
Fox, at the same time, was like, vessels are being spotted right now going through the Strait of Hormuz.
I just Googled it. I just put it in perplexity. I'm like, are ships passing through on the heels of this alleged ceasefire, at least framework? And it said yes. It said yes. I want to say something to you if you are needing health insurance, or if you have health insurance and you're under the age of 65 and it sucks. It's expensive. Your deductible is ridiculous. Copay is choking and you don't seem to get what you need, but you're paying for stuff that you don't. Like, there's no reason for a single young man to be paying for maternity coverage. And yet oftentimes you do. Why? What if there was a better way? Well, there is a better way. And I really trust the guy behind the better way. His name is Tom Yakupin. And he's got a business called Health Revolution, and it is revolutionary. It's insurance that fits you. 30 to 60% off what you're normally paying. If you're in the Affordable Care Act marketplace, right? This is going to cost you 30 to 60% less than you're presently paying. No copays. No copays. Reasonable deductibles and the freedom to see any doctor you choose. You're like, that's bullcrap. It's not possible. It is possible. It is possible. And I want you to write down a website and a phone number. 800-868-6187. 800-868-6187. info.healthrevolution.net. No promo code, no gimmick. They're literally asking you, call us, give us your information. We'll figure out a time that we can talk. Tell us what your needs are. Tell us what you have or don't have, and let us give you the proposal. You decide if it's better for you. I asked Tom, how much does Michael, my son, have to pay, do you think? For regular, he's healthy, blah, blah, blah. He's like, $300 a month. I'm like, it's a far cry from what a lot of people are paying right now, right? If you're self-employed, paying for your own coverage, you're on COBRA, or you're just done overpaying, and you're under age 65. info.healthrevolution.net. 800-868-6187. I trust them. I trust him. And I talked to him and his partner. Like, I want to know what this is about before I put my name on it. And Tom was like, it's important. It's good for a lot of people who are slipping through the cracks. Done. Done. I wonder if he could get you yours, Brock.
Yeah, I'd have to ask. I don't know. That whole open enrollment stuff.
This isn't open. There is no open enrollment. It's anytime you want.
Oh, so if I could just cancel.
100%. Well, I think so. Listen to me telling him. Yeah, absolutely you can.
Because like when you're in Obama, the Obamacare, you can't switch plans. Which is total. What if your situation changes?
Obama sucked.
Wow.
Obama was the worst president ever.
I mean, I do disagree.
Joe, it was worse than Joe because Joe wasn't president. According to a lot of people, Trump has always been president. He's never stopped. Kind of interesting. These two turds. It's brilliant. Freaking morons. Chuck Todd.
Oh, God.
Hey, Chuck. You're with Terry Moran.
All right, here we go.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, it's not common that I would play for you anything that Chuck Todd says. I think he is a triggered lefty who's butthurt that he got squeezed out from NBC. Then there's the other guy who has a podcast that Chuck Todd pops onto. Chris Cillizza, formerly of CNN. So, I mean, I literally labeled this. Listen to two liberal white dudes psychoanalyze the leader of the free world. They know nothing about what they're speaking. They haven't talked to President Trump. They have no granular data, no factual data. They have their triggered hypotheses. And anything that doesn't fit into that framework, right, they just flush. So here's a guy who was pushed out at CNN in 2020 and a news hack that NBC showed the door in 2023, digging into the deeper intentions of the man they despise who happens to rule the world. Crystallism, Chuck Todd.
Image of Donald Trump as a bloodthirsty mad dog is not one that I mean, I wouldn't say this about, I don't want any of my presidents to be described as a bloodthirsty mad dog when you do have the nuclear arsenal, when you do have the military might that he reminds us we do have so often.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's a reminder. You got to ask the question, who we're worried about a radical in Iran getting their hands on a nuclear weapon. What about what's going on in our country? I mean, the guy is, again, we're all sort of numb, and I think we know
no
that
question. He's probably bullshit. I mean, that's the
right.
I think that's what most people's reaction
is.
is.
He's got the worst this is like the worst form of main character syndrome in the history of main character
So
syndrome.
true.
Right?
He's always
Like,
had it, but
right, like it's like he's just obsessed with everything revolves around him. He's the sun.
Everything revolves around him. He's the sun. Are you kidding me? You honestly believe that President Trump, for even a nanosecond, was like, well, guys, I think our only option is to unleash a nuclear warhead on the country. Get rid of all of them. Do it all of them dead. Do you guys really think that that's where Donald Trump was going with his crazy and unhinged tweets when he said, open the effing straight, you crazy bastards? Do you think that's what when he was saying complete obliteration, do you think he was like, I'm going to kill all of the Iranian people? And never for a minute did I hear that at all. So we expect stupid comments from triggered leftists like that. But from people we thought were in Trump's inner circle, why are all of these other people, all these right-wing supposed friends of this president, why are they all saying the same thing? Donald Trump's going to go nuclear. What? Well, here is our favorite X account, Anonymous, giving us the scoop.
Some voices are no longer analyzing events. They are defending narratives. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called confirmation bias. Instead of asking what is the truth, people ask what evidence supports what I already believe. And then they ignore everything else. Intelligence agencies actually train analysts to avoid this trap because it leads to catastrophic mistakes. One of the tools they use is called competing hypothesis. Instead of trying to prove their theory correct, analysts try to prove it wrong. They actively search for evidence that contradicts their own conclusions. Why? Because reality is almost never simple. Geopolitics rarely has a single cause. Multiple motivations can exist at the same time. Economic interests, strategic interests, alliances, ideology. Sometimes an action that benefits one country may also benefit another. But when commentators become emotionally attached to a narrative, everything starts to look like proof of that narrative. Complex global events get reduced to bumper sticker explanations. So here is a simple caution. If you are listening to a voice you have trusted for years, and suddenly that voice stops questioning other possibilities, be careful. Because when someone claims to already have all the answers, you may no longer be hearing analysis. You may be hearing advocacy. The search for truth requires something harder. Curiosity, humility, and the willingness to question even the stories we want to believe, including our own. My friends, we are all anonymous. Remember, question every narrative, especially the ones you agree with. Because in the search for truth, the most dangerous words are, I already know the answer.
Yeah, it's the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. This was in March of this year.
Oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, again, I grew up around this stuff, but, and I tried to join the CIA.
Huh. So what is it? Bias or is it intentional? Huh. Well, let's talk about President Trump's Easter truth and his Monday complete obliteration warning next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I still had time, right? How much time did I have left? 20 seconds?
10.
10. Okay, good. I'm trying to make sure that I don't
Your
go...
clock is 10 seconds slow.
Yes. Yes.
So keep an eye on...
All right.
She's usually within a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm usually not paying attention, or I'm not in a position to. All right, let me tell you guys about Healthy Cell. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. Perhaps one of the more exciting businesses that we've glommed onto, because I believe after COVID, a lot of us started getting super sketch on big pharma. I know I did. And now anytime somebody's like, oh, did you get the new such and such? I'm like, hell no. But we still want to get our supplements. We still need things that make us healthy, that allow us to sleep well, that'll give us some calm. How about you could take medicine that's not really medicine because it's from plants and from nutraceuticals, as they say, and adaptogens, things that exist out there in science, not science, but in the natural world. What if you could lower your blood sugar? What if you could lower your blood pressure? What if you could improve your blood flow? What if you could protect your immune system? What if you could sleep better? What if you could stay calm and not lose your mind with anxiety and be ravaged by it? Well, you can. Healthycell.com/Wendy. It is in the delivery. It's micro gel. So instead of popping a pill, you suck in a pouch of it's like a kind of like applesauce or like yogurt that you would squeeze in your mouth from a packet, and it gets into your system 165% better absorbed than a pill, so it gets down into the places it needs to be, into the blood, into the cells. Healthycell.com/Wendy. There is a formula for you. I take Focus and Recall, and I've also been taking some REM sleep. I've been struggling a little bit with my sleep, and so I've been taking that, and I'll tell you what, it's 100% great to have on your side. Healthycell.com/Wendy. I love them. All right. Yeah, so we're watching it. Soon White House briefs.
They must know they have some time.
State media, so Iranian state media, Iran closes Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes on Lebanon. So we'll see what ends up going on. Your girl looks pretty. I can report that. What do you think about that, Brock?
About what?
Your girl. She looks
I don't see
good.
her. Oh, yeah. How you doing? I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating cookies.
That's such a dumb statement. I would. If you ate cookies in my bed, I would punch you and throw you down the stairs. Right? We have very strict rules in our house. No eating or drinking upstairs.
Oh, and how's that working out?
It doesn't. It doesn't. Because some Nimrod is drinking a soda, and then there's a step, like there's a, God forbid we should go back and see where we spilled. Right? Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a little persnickety. All right, as we're waiting, I want to read you something. Every year around her birthday, Kelly Morgan just turned 54. Kelly Morgan from Morgane's Fitness tells us the truth about her journey because, you know, when you look at somebody who's fit or somebody who's legitimately a competitive bodybuilder, because she is, you're like, dang, she has no idea what it's like. She's like, wrong. I have quite a bit of an idea what it's like. This is what she says. I've not always had my current physique. I've battled yo-yo dieting, fad diets and pills, a toxic relationship with food, body dysmorphia, periods of anorexia, extreme exercise, then inconsistency and constant comparison. I spent years wishing I looked like someone else. I was the bigger friend growing up. I lost weight in the Air Force, then gained it all back. Alcohol, late nights, fast food, it adds up fast. I tried shortcuts, fen, never again. Started lifting, saw my body change, and then came life. Marriage, kids, nursing, school. It wasn't until Morgane's Fitness was born in 2012 that everything finally clicked, not just physically, but also mentally. I learned I will never be the tiny little girl I envied, and I don't want to be. I built strength, confidence, and discipline, and a mission to help others, especially women, do the same, because we are especially hard on ourselves, way too hard on ourselves. She says, after my husband of 25 years passed away in 2022, I took a year to figure out who I really am and who I want to be in this one life we get. And here's the truth. I lift hard 4 days a week, train hard, spend about 6 hours a week lifting heavy. I teach yoga a few times a week, and I walk my dog almost every day. That's it. I eat, I drink, I snack, I cheat, but I'm constantly moving. Morgainsfitness.com. MORGAINZ fitness.com. And you too can do what this young lady did. Picture on the left to the picture on the right in 90 days. It's not magic. It's hard work. When you're ready, go to Morgane's Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. And Kelly will be there to take your hand.
So if Caroline comes before, I'm not going to play an open. We'll just have you say, you're listening to Wendy Bell Radio. Here's Caroline. I'll
Amen.
put it down and put it back up.
Okay.
But it looks like she might be giving us time. They're still doing a stand-up.
Yeah,
Usually
I see.
a couple minutes.
I see Jackie Heinrich there.
Yeah.
So I want to know if the Strait of Hormuz is open or if it's closed. And I think that's probably the most pivotal thing. This is going to impact obviously the cost of oil. It's going to impact a lot of stuff. China definitely needing the oil to start flowing. Bigly, they're hurting, which is great. They can suck it. Jags. Is that wrong for me to say? I don't care.
Like I said, we'll have the video for you. Don't go anywhere. No need to leave.
My favorite girl now, I have a new favorite. I'm not going to tell you who it is. We're going to tell you coming up.
You can't be Sandy.
It is not Sandy. You know what I like about the girls on Fox here, the Sandy and about Martha McCallum and
In
others?
5 seconds? Yeah, I'd love to know.
They don't Botox themselves into smithereens.
No. Sandy doesn't have to. Beautiful on the inside.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. I've got my eye on this White House press room briefing. We understand Caroline Leavitt is going to be coming out here momentarily to address the world, and that's exactly what she's going to be doing. And we need to hear what is going on specifically. Has the Strait of Hormuz been opened? Is the Persian Gulf oil flowing again through the strait? We know we've got tankers backed up. We need to get them out, and that was part of this agreement. We're understanding Iran is like, yeah, about that. We're not so jazzed about Israel bombing us and bombing other proxies in other locations. And so, no, we're not going to let you through. So we'll see what's going on with her. In the interim, I've been very interested by and intrigued by this seeming, mutiny, if you will, among the MAGA world, a rebellion in the whole idea of the friends of the president, people who are influencers. You know, Alex Jones does his program and he gets more than 100,000 live views. For that cat to go on his live program, InfoWars, yesterday or 2 days ago and basically say, what do we need to do to 25th Amendment his ass? It's literally what he said about Donald Trump, saying he is unstable. Others calling him a genocidal lunatic. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, by the way, boned the GOP bigly when she decided to bounce when, of course, we've got the razor-thin House majority, but decided to leave just after she was fully vested in her pension, her big, fat government pension. What a turd, right? So I want to read this to you. This is from MundoAmerica.com. I have no idea who they are, but the Daily Beast required a paywall, and I'm not going to pay for suck. So here we go. Key figures in this whole MAGA space are calling for invoking the 25th Amendment on President Trump. And it's kind of interesting. Not like it's going to happen, but why? Why would that be? Congressmen, senators, but also some of the most powerful conservative conspirators and influencers in the country apparently believe that Donald Trump has lost his mind and that his threats to end an entire civilization in the next few hours are the last red line. They had distanced themselves from, well, you know, the Epstein case with the decision to attack Iran in general, says this left-wing media rag. But now they go further, and calls for impeachment of this president are multiplying. A political trial for Congress to remove him, something attempted twice in his first term, or directly for the vice president to just step in and assume power. War crime alert. Trump has said an entire civilization will die tonight, never to return. It's the definition of genocide, to destroy an entire civilizational people. Trump literally sounds like a deranged supervillain from a Marvel movie, right? This is not what we voted for. That's what Alex Jones put out there in the world. Alex Jones called Donald Trump a deranged supervillain from a Marvel movie. But Alex, who got to you, babe? The 25th Amendment, this is Candace Owens, the 25th Amendment must be invoked. He is a lunatic, genocidal. Our Congress and our armed forces must intervene. This is madness. Really? This is a woman who says Emmanuel Macron's wife is a dude. Okay. In record time, Trump has lost the support of some essential figures to understand his triumph, such as Tucker Carlson, Ann Coulter, Megyn Kelly, Joe Rogan. On Monday's episode of the Tucker Carlson Show, Carlson, a personal friend of the president's until a few weeks ago when insults and threats began, criticized the president and urged high-ranking officials not to follow illegal orders. Ann Coulter, prominent conservative journalist for the past 20 years, denounced Trump's actions as potential war crimes and called for his immediate removal from office. Anthony Scaramucci, another high-ranking official in the first Trump administration, also urged for Trump's removal, stating that he's calling for a nuclear attack. Steve Bannon, a former Trump advisor and right-wing figure, hasn't commented on the 25th Amendment, but has been linked to advocating for Trump's removal from office in the past. So what gives? What is going on with these people? And did you, for a minute, when you read the Monday, literally think about this? Donald Trump puts out a truth that says, well, it's unfortunate. If Iran doesn't meet us until, at 8 o'clock tonight or whatever, we're going to blow you up. We're going to end your civilization, as you know, complete obliteration. And then he goes and he sits out at the White House lawn at a picnic table with a bunch of little kids and colors pictures. And the entire landscape goes haywire, which I find very intriguing because never once did I infer from the president's truth about obliterating civilization did I believe that Trump was targeting and using even the thought of some kind of a nuclear weapon to neutralize the country of Iran. He's saying, no, we're going to blow out all of the things that you're going to need as a country to survive. You need water. You need desalination plants. You need an electrical grid, right? Even rudimentary. You need processing for the oil that you rely on to have money. We're going to blow the crap out of all of it. That's how I read it. So who out there inferred that it was going to be some nuclear strike and that Trump is some deranged lunatic who we really need to consider the 25th Amendment to remove and install J.D. Vance? Who out there wants J.D. Vance as president? I don't, right? What is it? What happened to them? Who got to them, right? And as we speak about Marjorie Taylor Greene, did you see what happened to her seat? In the greatest smackdown, punchdown of a once MAGA ally who then gave Trump the middle finger, right? Demanding that he be replaced, Marjorie Taylor Greene, demanding as though she believes that we have any interest in what she says. It's very interesting that the guy who Trump endorsed won her seat. And of course, we'll have to compete again in the actual midterms to maintain that. Republican wins runoff for Georgia congressional seat. That's very nice. Who's the guy? Well, his name is, of course, I'm trying to find it, Chad Fuller. Chad Fuller. And this guy, what does he say? He comes out and he's like, this victory of mine to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene, to fulfill the remainder of her term and then go back in and try to be reelected, is because of none other than President Trump. And I will do everything in my power to run for and to stand up with this president and his agenda. I want you to hear Scott Jennings. He takes on a disgusted Abby Phillip, who argues the 2-week ceasefire does nothing and still gives Iran control of the Strait of Hormuz, which it does not. She's parroting the bull crap that they pushed out propaganda-wise from Iran. Listen.
The same table that we have tonight is the table that existed yesterday, in large part. And fundamentally, the only thing that has been agreed to is that Iran will continue to control the Strait of Hormuz and will allow ships to go through on their control. That is the only thing that has been agreed to.
The strait is going to be reopened, and we're going to negotiate about the rest. Beyond that, we don't really know much of anything. But I will tell you, yesterday, Iran was saying, we're cutting off, talks. We're not going to continue the talks. The president uses some extreme language, and all of a sudden, voila, tonight, we have a ceasefire for 2 weeks. Why can't we just say, you know what? Maybe we have achieved military objectives. Maybe we have taken down their military and their ability to export terror. Maybe we have decimated their missiles. Maybe we've buried the nuclear material. And maybe we've got 2 weeks to make the world a safer place. Why can't we look at this as a glass half full moment as opposed to,
but then why
we have to make it negative for Donald.
Listen to all these morons who have absolutely no war experience whatsoever. They've never negotiated anything, let alone gone to war in a widely unpopular move among many people in this country, to go on and to end once and for all a reign of terror that has cost far too many lives, not just American lives. These are the people who are fighting back against Donald Trump and for Iranian regime that knocked out 45,000 of its own protesters within the last several months. Are you kidding me? And I love that this president can, with one posting on his own platform, right? He can warn about a whole civilization dying tonight and everybody goes haywire. It's almost like mission was accomplished. Yes. When we come back, still waiting for Caroline Levitt. Got my favorite journalist who's pushing back on all this suck next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Well, so much for her being on time. Whatever. I'm sitting here going like this, trying to see what's my time, and I want to look up at this clock that's not working. Like, so ridiculous. I love you guys. Let's see where we are. We should be at 4,000 rumbles right now. 1.93. That's poopy. Isn't that kind of poopy? It's kind of poopy. Ooh, was something wrong? Oh, could they not hear me well? Oh, sorry, guys, if you were having some problems. Why the sound funny? Oh, thanks for letting us know. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks for it. Appreciate you. This is how you help us so much. All right. So Blood Flow 7, I've already told you about the GLP-1 Gold. I will say that Brock gave me his own testimony about Blood Flow 7 this morning. And it might have been more about Alpha Gold Male, which is for men because it's specific to your testosterone, to what men need to perform, to lift, to achieve, to have stamina, strength, focus, all of these things. When you bring testosterone into play, it's different than the stuff that I take, which is Blood Flow 7. But he said to me, the only time I feel like I need to take a nap is on the weekends when I don't take Blood Flow 7, because we drink it here. We take it here during the show. And it's true. Blood Flow 7 is not magic. It is all about nitric oxide, which allows your blood vessels to open up so that more blood can get through your body. And living with a cardiologist, I will tell you blood flow is exactly what gets blocked when you get plaque and other buildup in your arteries and what have you, when a doctor needs to go in and put in a stent, open things up. The blood flow, restricted blood, makes you feel fatigued. Makes you feel like you can't go very far. Makes you feel like you need to sit down and take a breath. You're out of breath. You just don't feel right. It's remarkable how that changes with bloodflow7.com. So Alpha Gold Male is the guy's version. This is what I take. All of it is 30% off, less than $1 a day. Changes your world. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Woo! Power surge. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's so important. And the change is like, blah. You're going to want to email me. So just write it down, wendybellradio@gmail.com, and send me a message and say, I love you. And I'll be like, duh. I told ya.
There you go. Back to you.
I know. Thank you. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Kind of in this holding pattern, keeping our eye on the White House press briefing room where Caroline Leavitt is going to come out and give us an important update about the beginning phases hours into this 2-week ceasefire. Reports that already Iran has not lived up to its side of it. I don't know if that's true or not. If CNN is saying it, I'm going to tell you, absolutely, I don't believe a word they say. I think we can prove that again and again and again. But anyway, I was driving home from the show yesterday, and I'm in the car, and I'm going through the stations, and Fox News pops up, and it's Congressman Ro Khanna. I had no idea who the guy was. I had no idea, couldn't recognize his voice. I could tell it was Martha McCallum. And Ro Khanna was taking umbrage with Donald Trump saying basically an entire civilization is going to be obliterated tonight because Iran might not come to the table and make a deal. And if that's the case, well, goodbye, lights out, see you later, Gracie. And Ro Khanna was like, can you imagine Ronald Reagan saying something like that? Threatening an entire civilization, threatening to nuke a population? And I'm like, yo, he didn't say that. Do you not understand the bluster of war? I've never been in a war. I've never put on a military uniform in my life, but I know how to fight with my sister. And a lot of it is hyperbole, right? When you're younger, you're like, okay, you don't tell everybody what you're going to do. You don't show all your cards. You play a big game. You promise smackdown. And if you fiddle with me, you'll find out. Well, how does that work? Well, it brought Iran to the table. Sounded pretty good. Let's hear Martha McCallum punching back on Ro Khanna. He's like, look, he's saying, you know what? Diplomacy was working. And now Trump's going out telling him he's going to obliterate their entire civilization. Can you believe it? Martha fighting back. Go, baby.
So far. Well, it was working until Trump ripped up the deals. And the reality is, Martha, do you really believe that Iran was going to threaten New York or the American homeland? They didn't have an ICBM.
I'll tell you what I believe. I believe they already killed 1,500 of our American soldiers.
They've killed 13 more because of Donald Trump's decision.
They killed 200 in a Marine barracks in Lebanon.
And I
don't need any more evidence that they want to threaten. They also march in the streets, say death to America. What more evidence do you need?
So, what more evidence do you need? Diplomacy was working, says Ro Khanna. It apparently wasn't. We weren't getting anywhere. How many more Americans need to be killed before we can say this? And then it gets a little bit deeper. This is fantastic. Here's where she eviscerates the congressman's pants on fire. He's going to nuke him propaganda. Love her.
I'm concerned about our values. I'm concerned that no American president would have done this. Do you think Ronald Reagan would have used this language?
No, because Ronald Reagan isn't President Trump.
Do you think Abraham Lincoln would have?
Do you think FDR?
Do you think George Washington would have? Do you think he said, let's wipe out the British people? Donald Trump has compromised every moral standing we have as a nation. What makes America different?
So you like the language of President Biden on this, of President Obama on this, who tried to make deals, who had negotiations.
Of every other American president.
Nothing changed.
Of every other American president.
And you talk to Iranian people in this country who are wanting to have this
First of all, that's not true, Martha.
Overthrown.
Obama got 97% of the enriched uranium out. Then Trump came in and he ripped up the deals. And that's when...
And gave $30 million that went into the weapons chest of Iran.
That is not true. That is they unfroze
30 billion. They
unfroze the assets.
Exactly.
But that was not money. That was not U.S. taxpayer money. But the point is, what did Trump achieve? 97% of enriched uranium was gone. Then Trump comes in, he rips it up. 60% enriched uranium in
4 weeks.
Well, he's gotten the price of gas up. He's put our troops at risk. 13 Americans
I don't know.
have lost
You
their
may
lives.
end up.
And we've now threatening to wipe out a nation, which makes us no different than every other country. What makes us different is when we go to war, we care about civilians. When we go to war, we care about.
Do you care about the
human
40,000 people who were killed in the street by this regime?
Yes, I called that out. I called that out when it was happening.
What does calling it out do?
Well, what calling it out does is that what we needed to do is to have a negotiation and tough diplomacy with sanctions to get them not to have nuclear weapons.
How do you like that? How do you like that? Ro Khanna is going to argue about the diplomacy of war. He's going to argue about oh, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Caroline Levitt.
Pops out. Given all that you say. Sure. Oh, she's coming. Here's Caroline.
Good to see all of you here today. Before I discuss the ceasefire with Iran, I have a quick update from the First Lady of the United States. Yesterday marked the very first conviction under the Take It Down Act, landmark legislation that First Lady Melania Trump played an instrumental role in getting passed that protects victims from non-consensual AI-generated sexually explicit images, cyber stalking, and threats of violence. This is a huge achievement for the First Lady, and I know the President is very proud of his wife's efforts in getting this critical legislation passed to protect America's youth. So we thank the First Lady for her efforts, and we hope that others will report on this historic conviction yesterday. With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the president and our incredible military made happen. From the very beginning of Operation Epic Fury, President Trump stated this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic Iranian regime. Thanks to the unbelievable capabilities of America's war fighters, the United States has achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 38 days. The U.S. military destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, crushing the regime's ability to manufacture weapons that they and their proxies use to maim and kill Americans and terrorize the world. Iran's ability to build and stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has also been set back by years compared to where it was 6 weeks ago prior to the launch of Operation Epic Fury. We destroyed the vast majority of Iran's ballistic missiles, launcher vehicles, and long-range attack drones through more than 450 strikes on ballistic missiles and approximately 800 strikes on Iran's drone launching units and storage facilities. In total, more than 13,000 targets across Iran were struck. Again, this is in the matter of just 38 days. Meanwhile, the Iranian Navy was completely annihilated. The United States destroyed more than 150 naval vessels in total, including 16 entire classes of Iranian warships. Despite once being the largest undersea force in the Middle East, Iran now has 0 submarine vessels. 97% of Iran's once massive inventory of more than 5,000 naval mines has also been targeted and destroyed. Iran's air forces are functionally and operationally irrelevant at this point, after the United States maintained total air dominance over their country for weeks on end. To underscore the significance of this, before Operation Epic Fury, the Iranian Air Force would fly between 30 to 100 flights per day. Today, that number is 0. Iran's ability to fund and support its terrorist proxies has been greatly reduced. At this point, Iran can no longer distribute weapons to its proxies in the region. And most importantly, Iran will not be able to acquire nuclear weapons. Prior to the start of this successful operation, Iran was aggressively expanding its short-range ballistic missile arsenal. Through these weapons and its navy, Iran was attempting to build a military buildup around their country that would pose an imminent and existential threat to the United States military assets in the Middle East, our allies in the region, and ultimately the free world. Iran was pursuing this dangerous and aggressive strategy for one reason: to hold the entire world hostage to its terrorist ambitions. The Iranians aim to use their expanded military capabilities as a shield around their country to continue achieving their ultimate goal internally, building nuclear bombs. But their murderous and evil plans have been blown up, quite literally and figuratively, along with their military, their nuclear program, and most of their senior leadership, including the former Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Their command and control structures were also massively disrupted after being struck more than 2,000 times. Many of their remaining leaders are paralyzed in fear and no longer enjoy the freedom to move around their country freely and meet openly. Thanks to the unmatched excellence of our warriors at the direction of the Commander-in-Chief, the world has just witnessed a historically swift and successful military triumph. President Trump started Operation Epic Fury with strategic military objectives, and the United States has clearly achieved them. As we mark this progress, we also remember and honor the 13 American heroes who laid down their lives in this noble effort. I know President Trump and our grateful nation honors their ultimate sacrifice, and we will never forget them. May God bless their families. The valiant efforts of all of our incredible service members created maximum leverage for the President of the United States, allowing he and his leadership team to engage in tough negotiations over the past couple of weeks that have now created an opening for a diplomatic solution and long-term peace in the Middle East. The president's maximum pressure and the leverage created by the success of Operation Epic Fury led to the Iranian regime asking for and ultimately agreeing to a ceasefire proposal with the United States. Iran could no longer tolerate being bombed or taking the gamble of what was to come following President Trump's 8 p.m. deadline last night. Iran has agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz, and as the president said, we have received a proposal from the Iranians that has been determined to be a workable basis on which to negotiate. I've seen a lot of inaccurate coverage today from the media about these negotiations and these plans already. So let me be clear and correct the record. The Iranians originally put forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. Many outlets in this room have falsely reported on that plan as being acceptable to the United States, and that is false. With the president's deadline fast approaching and the United States military completely decimating Iran with each passing hour, the regime acknowledged reality to the negotiating team. They put forward a more reasonable and entirely different and condensed plan to the president and his team. President Trump and the team determined the new modified plan was a workable basis on which to negotiate and to align it with our own 15-point proposal. The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd. The president will only make a deal that serves in the best interests of the United States of America, and he as a negotiating team will focus on this effort over the next 2 weeks, so long as the Strait of Hormuz remains open with no limitations or delays. These extraordinarily sensitive and complex negotiations will take place behind closed doors over the course of the next 2 weeks. I would strongly advise the media against running with narratives that have no basis in fact. What Iran says publicly or feeds to all of you in the press is much different than what they communicate to the United States, the president, and his team privately. Never underestimate President Trump's ability to successfully advance America's interests and broker peace. President Trump has a proven track record of achieving good deals on behalf of the United States and the American people, and he will only accept one that puts America first. With that, I will take your questions today. I'm sure you have a lot of them. In our new media seat, we have Shane Harris with the AMAC Newsline. Shane, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Caroline. Two questions for you. First, following the president's announcement of the ceasefire, if this is indeed the end of hostilities in Iran, what is the president's message to the American people about what was achieved for our country through Operation Epic Fury?
Sure. I think I just laid out a significant portion of that in my opening remarks. 6 weeks ago, the president looked the American people in the eye directly, and he told them that he launched this operation to take out the imminent threat that was posed by Iran. And that threat has now been greatly destroyed. Their Navy, their missiles, their defense industrial base, and their desire and their plan to build a nuclear bomb inside their country is no longer going to be allowed, can no longer happen, thanks to the remarkable success of Operation Epic Fury over the course of the last 38 days. That has been absolutely achieved, and now we're moving into the next phase of this, which is a negotiating period to put some fine points on this and to hopefully broker an agreement that can achieve long-term peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, and then second, what is the president's message to American seniors who have a much higher voter participation rate and they're likely to be a key swing vote in the midterm elections?
Well, the president loves our seniors across the country. And as you know, the president signed the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut last year, which greatly reduced taxes on Social Security for our seniors. In fact, thanks to the Working Families Tax Cut, nearly 90% of seniors will no longer pay tax on their Social Security. That's a huge win for our seniors and also for our middle class and working families across the country with the no tax on tips provision and the no tax on overtime. Next week is tax week. You'll hear a lot from the president about how his policies have benefited the American people, and I'm proud to report that the president will be traveling next week to the great states of Nevada and Arizona to tout this historic accomplishment over the course of the next week. Thank you for being here, Shane. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Iranian state media is saying that Iran has now closed off the Strait of Hormuz today in response to Israeli attacks on Lebanon. What's the White House response to that? And you just listed many military successes. I understand that. But strategically, how is the administration arguing that Iran does not have more economic leverage now than it did before the start of the war?
Sure. Well, with respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Caroline, the president yesterday threatened that a whole civilization would die if a ceasefire deal wasn't reached, understanding that Iranian leaders have previously said death to America. But why is it appropriate for the president of the United States to use that kind of language when talking about civilian targets? And was the president mocking Islam by signing off his Truth Social post over the weekend, praise be to Allah? Wouldn't that antagonize Muslim allies across the world?
Well, I understand the questions about the president's rhetoric, but what the president cares most about is results. And in fact, his very tough rhetoric and his tough negotiating style is what has led to the result that you are all witnessing today. Iran publicly acknowledging last night that they have agreed or that they wanted this ceasefire with the United States because they no longer could tolerate being bombed by our very powerful and lethal military, and that they have committed to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which the president will hold them accountable for. And it's something the administration is closely monitoring in real time.
So,
Danny.
Should the world not take his word seriously?
The world should take his word very seriously in understanding that the president is always most interested in results. And it was the Iranians who backed down, not President Trump. He said that they would face very grave consequences, as you just laid out, by the 8 p.m. deadline if they did not agree to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. And what did they do last night? They agreed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Would President Trump like to see Lebanon included in this peace deal? As you know, there's been increased Israeli strikes on Lebanon today with dozens of casualties there.
Sure. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. That has been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire. As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu put out a statement last night in support of the ceasefire, in support of the United States' efforts, and he's also assured the president they'll continue to be a helpful partner throughout the course of the next 2 weeks.
Is there any thought, though, that the president might like to see Lebanon included in a future date, given that it seems to be causing or potentially undermining the Iran ceasefire?
Again, this will continue to be discussed, I am sure, between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu, the United States and Israel, and all of the parties involved. But at this point in time, they're not included in the ceasefire deal. Jeff.
Thank you. Caroline, will the U.S. take part in talks with Iran in Islamabad on Friday?
I can announce that the president is dispatching his negotiating team, led by the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Witkoff, and Mr. Kushner to Islamabad for talks this weekend. The first round of those talks will take place on Saturday morning local time, and we look forward to those in-person meetings.
What role does the president see for the U.S. in monitoring or helping with the Strait of Hormuz going forward?
I think the president commented on that this morning. We're going to continue to monitor it very, very closely. We will be helpful in any way that we can, but we fully expect Iran to do this, and the president has made that quite clear as well. It's, again, as his statement said last night, the ceasefire is subject to the safe reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Again, this was just determined last night. We understand things take time, but that's the president's expectation, and he will hold everyone to it. Sure, in the green blazer.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure, and then in front of you. But Andrew, you can go ahead.
All right.
You're not wearing a green blazer.
I am actually wearing a green blazer.
It's a little brown to me, but go ahead.
Fair enough. Regarding the president's rhetoric, when the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003, George W. Bush said in a message to the Iraqi people that the military campaign was directed, quote, against the lawless men who rule your country and not against you. Yesterday, the president threatened to destroy Iran's civilization, the entire civilization, not the Iranian government, but the Iranian civilization, the Iranian people. The U.S. has been a moral leader for most of its history by fighting wars against other governments, not against civilizations. How can the president claim that America can ever have the moral high ground if he's threatening to destroy civilizations and not casting wars as fights against other governments?
Andrew, I think you should take a look at the actions of this president over the course of the past 6 weeks and the actions of our brave men and women in our United States military who have taken out essentially taken out the military of a rogue Islamic regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years, that has killed and maimed thousands of American soldiers over the course of the last 5 decades. The president absolutely has the moral high ground over the Iranian terrorist regime, and for you to even suggest otherwise is frankly insulting.
With all due respect, Caroline,
Go ahead.
with all due respect,
Go ahead.
there is
just given what we've seen in Lebanon today and the increased attacks from Israel, I mean, is there any concern that Netanyahu is trying to kill the ceasefire?
The president spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu last night. And in that private conversation, Prime Minister Netanyahu relayed exactly what he said to the world publicly, that he supports the president and Israel remains a key ally and partner to the United States. They've been a tremendous partner over the course of the past 6 weeks, and we thank them for their heroic efforts as well. And the president had that conversation last night, and that was relayed to the world publicly as well. Reagan, go ahead.
Caroline, I have a question for you on Iran, and I have a question on the Dignity Act as well. On Iran, it's been reported that the ceasefire was struck after the involvement of 2 unlikely factors, J.D. Vance and China. What role did those parties play in striking a deal?
Well, Vice President Vance has played a very significant and a key role in this since the very beginning. Of course, he's the president's right-hand man. He is the vice president of the United States. He's been involved in all of these discussions. And as I just announced, he'll be leading this new phase of negotiations in Islamabad later this week. With respect to China, there were conversations that took place between top levels of our government and China's government. The president has great respect for President Xi and a great working relationship with him and with that country. And he looks forward to visiting China in just a few weeks.
And on the Dignity Act, it's getting a fresh push through Congress. It would give some illegal immigrants in the country a path to citizenship. What's the White House's position on this legislation, and would the president sign it if it made it to his desk?
Honestly, Reagan, I haven't spoken to the president about the legislation, but I will have that conversation and we'll get you our formal position on it as soon as we can. You're welcome. Go ahead.
The president suggested in an interview this morning that he would support a joint U.S.-Iran venture to charge tolls for ships going through the strait. Does the president believe that the U.S. should earn revenue
from the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, we're listening in here. Sorry, I just came out really loud. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. We're listening to Caroline Levitt in the press conference here. And what I really wanted to hear was what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz. Because if you pay attention to any other news source, they are talking about how Iran is holding the reins on the Strait. And because of attacks from Israel on their proxies, that Iran is not going to be giving up control of the Strait and that oil is currently not flowing. Caroline Levitt says that is exactly not the case. That is exactly not what's going on, which is why we're in this weird position that we're in. You've got a media that is anti-America. You have a media that is anti-President Trump. They would rather see America fail if it sullies the image and the legacy of President Trump than they would like to celebrate lives of the American people being safer. They would like more to celebrate something that is bad for Trump than it is good for everybody else. That's pathological, right? And then the media, the representatives there in that room, do you not understand the bluster and the hyperbole of war? Do you believe for a minute that when the president says he's going to roll in B-2 bombers and they're going to take out the infrastructure, that today is going to be bridge and infrastructure day? Do you believe for a moment that he's bluffing? Because I don't. There is a reason the entire military has descended upon the Middle East. There was a reason that he closed the airspace around Venezuela. There's a reason he projects to people, you probably don't want to go over there in the next several days. There's a reason the entire armada of American war vessels was parked off of the front deck of Nicolas Maduro's home or bunker or wherever he was. He tells you what he's going to do. He's going to do it. Now, if complete obliteration to you means he's going to drop a nuclear weapon and wipe out the entire country, that's on you. That's not what he said. He never said about taking out soft targets. He never talked about hitting the civilian population. That Iran trotted out its human beings, its own women and children, and told them to go stand around these targets. Because they didn't want the power plants to get hit. They didn't want the water treatment plant to get hit. They don't want the electric grid going down. They told you everything. Why isn't anybody in that room talking about that? It's a very interesting dynamic. And it seems like it's taken a war that has been years in the making. It's taken someone to grow a pair of huevos to stand up and say, enough is enough. Bomb them into the middle of next week, and then to do it. President Trump needs everybody to think he's just a little bit crazy. Just a little bit unhinged, just a wee bit unpredictable. What's he going to do? He wouldn't do that, would he? Well, he did do all these other things. Well, I don't know. We've watched him blow up freaking boats at sea. How many more do you need to see? Why do you think the administration broadcasted that again and again and again and again? To keep everybody guessing. And the morons in that White House press briefing room, did he really mean to blow up civilization? Oh, my heavens. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, we got to talk about Trump repeatedly. Reportedly being an ABC News objective for years. Destroy Trump. What? That's part of their agenda at ABC? Next. I thought we needed to get out of that, you guys. I thought it was enough. We had enough. It was enough. But I wanted to hear what she was going to say specifically about the Strait. What she's saying is, don't believe the news, no matter who they're saying, no matter who the outlet is, we'll tell you directly what's happening. Okay. I like it.
You can turn that back on.
I'm going to. Thank you. So, anyway... It's so interesting to hear these people. I had to hear them. So thank you for making that happen, Brock. You know, I didn't believe, and it's kind of bad to admit this, even though he is a cardiothoracic surgeon, a guy who removes people's like hearts and lungs and transplants new ones into their chest cavity. I was like, that's kind of a smart person, right? Just going to say. But when he was like, look, I lost 70 pounds drinking this drink, I was like, whatever. And then I went back and I started doing some research. And 20 years ago, Dr. Gundry was a little Bobalatti. He was a little squish, little fatty Bobalatti, lost 70 pounds by drinking MCT Wellness, which he created. He's like, I don't have time to do all this other stuff. I'm going to do a deep dive. Why am I not losing weight? And he noticed that he found that there is this mechanism our bodies have that allows us to hold on to calories that we'd like to dump as kind of a survival thing. And so he created MCT Wellness, which you can get by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. And he says, you know what, if you drink this, you drink it once a day, maybe twice a day. One, it's going to be a great dietary supplement. It's going to be a meal replacement because it's going to kill your appetite. You're going to drink it and be like, I really don't have to eat right now. And you don't for 4 or 5 hours. That gets you through a meal. You start replacing meals that might be unnecessary with something that's completely nutritious. It's got, 5 calories, 10, 30 calories. 30 calories is delicious, tastes great, and helps you lose significant weight. This isn't just for the 5 or 10 pounders, guys. This is for people who want serious, significant weight loss. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Remember, there's a video. Carve some time out, sit down with AirPods when you don't have anything else to do. It's like 30 minutes. It's a good 30 minutes. It's super informative. And then you'll be able to buy. And they give you a discount, 20% off discount, which is very nice. So you and I will probably, we'll slide 1 into 2.
You mean 130?
130, I beg your pardon. Yes, 130.
So do you want to flip the bottom of 130 to right now? That would be the ABC.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was doing.
Okay, that's what I thought too. I just wanted to make sure.
My pages are all fudged up. Here we go. Yes, it's exactly right. $214. We need 860 people. It sounds like so many, but then you look and you're like, wow, 4,600 people are watching. That should be doable. Welcome to the 390 over on X. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. You know, I'm interested in more than Caroline Leavitt's responses. And I think she is. Do you ever flash back and remember Karine Jean-Pierre, that box checking nightmare? She was so bad. It was so embarrassing. It was uncomfortable. It annoyed me. I was angry they brought that woman out as some competent mouthpiece of an incompetent administration. But it all kind of fits together now that you look at it, right? To hear a very polished Caroline Leavitt not take the bait of some of the BS questions. These people in the media, it's very disappointing as a former television news person. I can say this, watching this, it's so disappointing. Your job in there should be to get facts, not to promote conspiracy theories or hyperbole or supposition or rumor or your own gut instinct. It sounds to me like Donald Trump's going to hit the nuke button. Said no one with a functioning cerebral cortex. Okay? I don't know what happened to all these people on the right. I don't get it. But Billy Bush, remember Billy Bush? What was he on? He was on Access Hollywood or something. Was he on Access Hollywood? So this is President George Bush's cousin, okay? And he drops his allegation with Sage Steele. I think it's Sage Steele sitting with him and Sean Hannity. He's on Sean Hannity. I guess Hannity's got a podcast. Why he needs a podcast, whatever. Okay. But he drops something, Billy Bush does. And it's kind of bombshelly. I mean, it's not if you pay attention, but it is. And I want to read this to you from redstate.com. Bombshell ABC allegation about Trump gets more credible by the minute. Former Access Hollywood host Billy Bush made this bombshell claim this past week that hasn't gotten a lot of the play that it probably deserves. He claimed that ABC News had an entire division dedicated to targeting Donald Trump back during the 2016 election. What do you mean by that? He said ABC News has a division. They had a division dedicated with 75 people in it because I knew the guy who ran the division, which was dedicated basically to just getting him. He said this was the Hangout with Sean Hannity podcast. I don't know who would want to do that, but okay. I think we take it as a given that the liberal media, this is from Red State, that the liberal media, it's liberal media. So of course, right? And they're going to be inherently unfair because of the orientation to support the Democrats. But to have an entire team of dozens of individuals whose number one objective is to get Trump. What? So Billy Bush didn't offer up more as to who was involved. In fact, when he was asked for comment, he declined to identify the person who ran this alleged anti-Trump division at ABC News. But he suggested that the person no longer works at the network. ABC did not immediately respond to the request for comment. So who was in that division, if it's true? Are they still there? Even as ABC's more recent history in terms of its coverage of Trump and his team shows there are issues. Right? So you got ABC paying a $16 million settlement in December of 24 because of George Stephanopoulos and the crap that he has said. I want to play for you this. I mean, this isn't even remotely objective reporting. This is what George Stephanopoulos said the other day, pumping the Democratic narrative. This is about the mail-in balloting executive order that the president signed. You know, if you want to vote by mail, let's do it so it's secure. Every ballot envelope has a QR code. And the left went haywire over that because they can't cheat. This is how George Stephanopoulos set up this story and tossed to the reporter who was covering it. Listen.
And we're going to get the latest now on President Trump's attempts to interfere with the midterm elections, signing an executive order on mail-in voting. The critics are preparing a challenge in court, calling it unconstitutional. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the story. Good morning, Mary.
See, CNN does it in a sneaky sleight of hand way. They just read you a fake Iranian news brief about how they've won the war and Trump has capitulated and that he's totally cool with them enriching uranium again, because we would believe that. Then there is the slimy, sleazy, scummy way that George Stephanopoulos slides in President Trump's attempts to interfere with the midterms elections, sow distrust and undermine confidence in the nation's elections. What? What, George? See, no matter how it comes across to you, it's by the same people. Whether it's CNN or ABC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, Politico, Axios, Mother Jones, whatever. These people are all the stripes of the same scummy animal. And their number one objective, always, get Trump. Can you imagine that all these people want to do and what they're working on presently behind the scenes as he's trying to figure out peace for the Middle East and the world? He's trying to fix all of this stuff and get the world back on track. All these people on the left are doing is coming up with a way to change the Senate rules so they can impeach Donald Trump again. Don't believe me? You should. Great Britain news with the bombshell take of all of this with Trump. Why is it we have to go across the pond to get the truth? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Do I have the ability to go to the bathroom? Or are you going? Are you going to go?
No, I just went.
Oh, okay. I'll be right back.
some of those press conferences, like I get the guy from the New Seat Media or New Media Seats is from AMAC and he's going to ask about seniors, but I mean, really, everybody wants to know the same thing. Like, I don't know, wasted opportunity. I guess he's got to rate his story. It just seems like a prime time opportunity to be able to ask a question and ask a question that everyone wants to answer to, and totally poo in the mouths of all the people waiting to ask the gotcha question, or, you know, frame it so they can do their story about how Trump's the worst thing since ever. I don't know. I don't know. But to ask about seniors and voting, seniors are going to vote. And anyone pretty much over the age of 40, I think, if you're already voting, you're always going to vote because you see it as a civic duty.
What are you saying?
I was saying how disappointing the first guy was with the at the press conference from AMAC. What a wasted opportunity.
You came with a prefabbed question and not something that was meaningful.
Right.
What a joke. And I hope he feels like a turkey.
Like I said, I'm sure he has a story to write, but you know you're getting the first question and you know everybody's there.
And you swing and miss.
And you ask about seniors voting.
Yeah. And she was probably like, dude, do you know why we're here?
Right.
You might be working on a special report, but I could probably talk to you off camera about that and get you the details that you need.
I just think it's a missed opportunity.
I'm glad you said that because I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
And had I not been on camera there, I probably would have looked around the camera at you and been like, what the heck? That was just, yeah, I agree. And I think what you said was probably generous, a missed opportunity. If I went back to my news director, he would have been like, dude.
You got the first question and that's where you went.
That's where you went? That's what you were worried about?
Yeah, we're still a news organization.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, of all the questions you could ask that even could affect, let's think of your readership, right? Ask about oil prices. Do we see oil prices going down because will seniors see the effect of lower home heating fuel and gas prices? I don't know. AMAC is 50. I don't consider myself a senior citizen.
Yeah, well, my in-laws just told me at the place where they spend half of the year, which is a retirement community, I qualify now. Actually, I qualified last year at 55. I was like, thanks for sharing that with me, Mom and Dad. That's fantastic. I'd make a good neighbor. Can you imagine? No, not ready to retire. Anyway, and I'm so glad that you said that about that reporter, Brock, because this guy, and I don't know who he is, from GBN, from Great Britain News, he's got the take of the day.
I agree.
He's got the take of the day, and it's brilliant, and he deserves to be heard, right?
He touches on what we both think, you know, that this doesn't really have to do with Iran as much as it does other things.
Don't disagree. Do not disagree. All right. Just got to primp for a minute. Sorry.
I watched Carl Higbee last night. You all know I'm a big fan of Carl Higbee.
He's a boyfriend.
Yeah, he's a buddy. And he
it's okay. You can love another man.
He's a buddy. Just be quiet. He's a buddy. And I wanted to see his reaction because he's military.
Mm-hmm.
And he just laid it out. He's like, a lot people on my team thought I was cold for saying this. But if you're going to put your people around these bridges and plants, power plants, he goes, if you don't care about them, why should I? And I mean, I want to hear from a military guy that's going to actually have to pull the trigger and the mentality that they have, because I don't know. I don't know. And I just thought it was a great
Which is also interesting, because these people in the media who are not military write so definitively about what's going on. It's like, you have no effing idea.
Yeah.
You have no earthly idea. I can't imagine being that guy trapped in a freaking crevice.
And then he's like,
for 48 hours.
He's like, I don't mean to be, he's like, I'm sorry this is graphic. He goes, but I've watched these same people. I've watched my friends drown in their own blood because we're supposed to care.
Yeah, I have
and
no care for you.
He's like, if they don't care about you, I don't care about you. So you're part of the problem. And I was like, wow.
The White House says President Trump was told privately the Hormuz Strait is open. So
you're saying don't trust CNN? Come on now.
Yeah, I'm not so sure they've got connectivity there to report live from the banks of the Strait of Hormuz. Bob, thanks, Bob. Sheila,
it's where I go.
What's going on?
Breaking news: CNN and Harry Sisson.
I see ships moving. Bob, thanks, Sheila.
Back to you. Poor Bob and Sheila.
I know, Bob and Sheila. I don't know where that came from.
Neither do
I don't get it. Whatever.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live, and we do appreciate your flexibility as we tap into some of these press conferences. You know, and this is important, these press briefings, I should say, because the amount of garbage that's coming out it's stunning. It's stunning. It is suffocating. And yet the one place where we find clarity is where people literally are seeing the dark, and that's across the pond, Great Britain, the UK. I want you to hear this guy. I don't know who he is. He's a news guy, news anchor guy for Great Britain News, GBN. And he sees what's going on with Iran and all of the machinations of this war, the ceasefire, the implications of peace, et cetera, et cetera. He sees it way more at 30,000 feet than any of the media that we've been listening to do. And I believe it is the best take on what's going on. So this gentleman from Great Britain News, GBN, says President Trump's epic fury, this whole operation was about so much more than ending Iran's reign of terror. It was about rejecting the new liberal world order and quite literally replacing it with one where America is large and in charge and the UK is sitting like all alone by itself in a corner in the dark, completely left out. This is very interesting. Listen.
Here's the truth about this war that nobody wants to tell you. It isn't about toppling Iran's regime before you ask. It's about reshaping the global world order. And I think That's happening right now. And I want to tell you how Britain is staring down the barrel of a dark age we haven't seen for over 1,000 years. This all comes, of course, as President Trump says Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran if the key shipping lane in the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened. And, of course, lots of expletives there we have blurred out for you. But this is bigger than a headline or a Truth Social post in this war. And the evidence is not actually being kept from us. We're just blind to seeing it because nobody's talking about it. America has made no secret of its new doctrine. It is stepping back from being the world's police and repositioning itself as a powerful, self-reliant fortress.
That is why President Trump has drawn a new strategic map from Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America.
Now, that's so fascinating that the critics on the left, the Ro Khannas of the world, try to tell you this administration has no plan. Can you believe it? There's no plan. The scary part is it's so well beyond planned. You have no idea. They're already into next year. They're 5 years from now. It's not about what's going on right now. They're well past that. And this president has said, why are the American people funding all of these countries and providing defense for them when we need help? They shaft. Well, this guy, Alex Armstrong from Great Britain News, says, what does America get out of this war with Iran? Is it about world peace, or is it the ultimate squeeze play to make China bend to President Trump's tariffs?
The Strait of Hormuz, you can see there, is one of the most critical energy choke points on this planet. It is also a whopping 45% of China's oil flowing through it. That is a lot of oil that China needs. But it isn't just Iran. Cast your minds back to January this year, where Trump effectively has now captured Venezuela and declared its oil is under their control. And if you have a look at this graph, who there in the red relies heavily on that oil? Well, it looks like China to me.
China to me. See, it's about leverage. If you've ever played cards, like euchre, and you realize you got to have a trump card in order to win the tricks. You can only have so many aces and kings. You've got to have something that's extra. Isn't it weird that extra is the president of the United States? It's him saying, we're going to control China. We're going to control the oil. And if you guys want to still steal our intellectual property, if you still want to buy up our farmland, if you still want to fiddle with our freaking elections, I'm going to fiddle with your ability to do every damn thing you want. Because 45% of your oil comes through that strait. You know, President Trump wants significantly higher taxes on Chinese imports. Why? Because of trade imbalances, because it's been whacked ever since the beginning of time. He's the first one who stood up and been like, you know what, enough. You guys charge us to sell our stuff in China, though we don't charge you to flood our country with your cheap products. Forget that. And by the way, the theft of intellectual property, national security concerns. So he has proposed or enacted tariffs of up to 60% on most Chinese goods. And we're at this total stalemate with China. Well, Trump putting the squeeze now on them by assuming control of the oil. And Europe there is sitting in the dark, left out of all of this. And Alex Armstrong at GBN says Trump is leaving the UK behind.
Now consider the impeccable timing of all of this since January. America is right in the middle of a tariff and trade negotiation with the very stubborn and very powerful, might I add, Chinese government, who are not budging on Donald Trump's arrangements here. Well, look who's got the upper hand all of a sudden. It's America. They are now controlling the vast swathes of oil that China needs. That puts them in a very strong position going forward on these tariff agreements. And Europe is also getting hit hard a lot with this. With Russian energy totally off the table and domestic energy security weakened by this leftist obsession with net zero, Europe is becoming increasingly dependent on external oil supply and energy supply. And that puts America, again, in a very strong position, because we will soon be wholly dependent on American supplies of oil and gas. They will dictate terms and use energy as leverage, not just economically, but geopolitically too.
And yeah, President Trump doesn't forget, which is really a bummer for Keir Starmer. Can we use your air bases? No. Can you help us patrol the strait? No. Can you lend us any firepower? No. Okay. How about Greenland? Remember Trump's zeal to acquire Greenland? Well, there is a reason for that, too. He gave Europe every opportunity to help him win this war against Iran, and the UK in particular did not.
And what do we know that they really want? Greenland. They want Greenland. They've made that very clear, and they didn't get it yet. So the longer this war drags on, the more dependent the world is becoming on the USA. And it's not accidental. What we're seeing is the emergence of what you heard from Pete Hegseth there, the Secretary of State for War, and described by Donald Trump as the Greater North America. It is stretching from Greenland down through the Panama Canal, securing the entire hemisphere as a self-sufficient economic and security zone for the United States of America. But guess who's not on there? Europe. We are not part of America's future plans as it withdraws from the world. And it isn't just a coincidence that the United Kingdom has been targeted the most by Trump and America of late. The UK is internationally renowned for its special relationship with America. Trump is signalling that that relationship is over, not just to us, but to everyone else around us. And frankly, Keir Starmer gave him ample reason to do so, of course. But also because Trump can now point to our allies and say, you all let us down. And in his own words, as he said, we won't forget it.
We won't forget it. Greater North America. Complete independence. Energy independence. The strongest military. The most lethal fighting machines and men and women in the world. Didn't want to offend Larry O'Donnell there, right? And Europe is in the dark. Listen.
It is the perfect reason for America to withdraw from the global stage. So no more global policing, no more endless foreign commitments, just a fortified, resource-rich power base that others have no choice but to rely on. That is the new America. And that brings us to Britain, because the consequences for us will be catastrophic. Right now, we are dangerously exposed. We have no energy security. We import around 60% of our food. We have no major industry. Our military is decimated, as we're hearing time and time again. And politically, we are deeply fractured now. Even culturally, we are crumbling at the seams, dominated by global political issues like Gaza, climate fanaticism, and movements like BLM that, frankly, have nothing to do with the state of play in Britain. The things that once united us, our faith and our national identity, are now pulling us apart due to years of left-wing globalism. Unless we act quickly and decisively, Britain risks entering a dark age as America retreats, one that we haven't seen for over 1,000 years.
Brilliant. I wanted you to hear that because he's spot on. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, so which do you prefer? World peace and an economic golden age, or resisting Trump? It's a tough one. We're going to talk about that on the flip side of this break, next on the Wendy Bell radio program. Trump getting us out of everything and putting it out there. Look, and you said something very interesting this morning, Brock. You said something very interesting about the Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah.
What are they saying about this deal? Huh?
Nothing. They're not criticizing it. They're saying nothing.
Remember the big photo of all of the people at the Board of Peace? Most of those people live nearby Iran. A lot of those people are the neighbors of Iran. And they're like, no, we're totally down with what you're doing. President Trump, when he went on that tour, Middle Eastern tour, and he went to the UAE and he went to Qatar and he went to all these places, please, I'm sure he was talking with them about this.
Let me.
I'm sure.
I sent you this, and it
Mhm.
won't open up now. But it says breaking. No, I don't know if this is true. This is just seeing it on X. The influencer files are coming. It is being reported that the United States government is set to investigate influencers taking payments from foreign countries to push propaganda against America, Trump, and allies.
I'm safe. I'm clean. I'm clear. Let's go.
Yeah. We're not funded by Big Pharma.
No.
Qatar.
All right. The Simkovich Concussion Institute. They do something that's pretty, it sounds frightening. It's this intensive concussion protocol. And you're like, ooh, that sounds expensive and like it's going to hurt. And no, it's not. And no, it doesn't. There is no surgery. There are no needles. There's no blood. There's no hurting you to heal you. And it doesn't take long when you meet with an expert who understands a brain injury isn't just the tissue of the brain. It goes all the way down to the cellular level. How do you fix something like that? Do you have to cut open your head and dig? No. You need Dr. Simkovich. And the intense portion of the treatment protocol is lovely. They don't want to spread it out. They want to get you fixed as fast as possible. And so it's saying to you, if you're a patient, all right, I want you to block the whole next week. Monday through Friday. We might not need all of them, but I need you for 3 hours a day, every day next week. And you're going to be better. And then you're better. And then you get your life back. And then the headaches stop and the anxiety stops and the shaking stops. Your personality comes back. Memories come back. A portion of you that you lost comes back. That's the Simkovich Concussion Institute. That's not me blowing sunshine. That's me telling the truth. His name is Dr. Charles Simkovich. Read about him. Google him. Fall in love with him because he's a healer, and I've watched it happen. 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. Simkovich. Just the way it sounds. ConcussionInstitute.com. Write it down. You never know when someone you know or love needs help from an accident, what have you. Simkovich Concussion Institute. George Conway. You know what? I almost was going to say we should play a little bit of it, but it's not worth it. It's so vexing. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the right site I need to be on. Shucks.
I'm seeing on Twitter too that John Kerry leaked to the intelligence to the Iranian regime, and he came out. He had nothing to do with it. So that's interesting. I don't know why these people still need clearance and have clearance.
Revoke it all. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, if ever there was a time for you to be proud to be an American, it is this time. This is that time. Because you did something that the entire universe worked around us to foil. That everybody who had an opportunity to put a knife in the back of Donald Trump did and failed. Because you saw through it. Because you paid attention. Because you woke up and you stepped away from the garbage and you trusted your instincts and you listened to your own common sense. Everything the left wants you to believe is completely contrary to how you're wired. Don't believe what you see, right? Don't believe what you know. A man can't be a woman. Really? Well, according to the left, they can. Then you should probably be able to be a toaster. I'm sure there's somebody out there who would argue that. That's how nutty this is. We have a very basic president. He wants to leave a legacy to his grandchildren that involves safety and security and prosperity, the likes of which the planet has never known. And you voted for that. You stopped the deep state from ruining it. You stopped it, which is why they hate us so much. I love it. Hate me all you want. Suck it. John Nolte is one of my favorite writers. He's over at Breitbart. And he dropped something today I just wanted to put on you. Because this is what the Democrats are doing. This is what the deep state is doing. Trump is trying to get safe passage for vessels so that the world's oil prices can come down. Trump is trying to put an end, cut off the head of the freaking snake of a half century of terror. And you've got Democrats in the back room working on a way to impeach Trump. George Conway says Democrats will use the Senate majority, if they get it, to rig an impeachment process and remove Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. This is what they do. It's never for you. It's never for you. Did you guys see that 3/4 of the people in Fairfax County, Virginia prison being held on suspicion of murder are illegal aliens? And yet when asked, what the hell gives, Abigail Spanberger, new governor, right? She just walks away, doesn't talk to anybody. What about all of these murderers? Are you going to stop being a sanctuary city and state and finally work with ICE and get these people, these murderous thugs out of our country? And she basically gave the reporter the hand and walked away. How freaking dare you? Far-left Democrat George Conway is eager to impeach and remove both President Trump and J.D. Vance, even if it means rigging the U.S. Senate's 250-year-old impeachment process. Right. And the Republicans are like, ooh, I don't really think we should worry about the filibuster. We don't want to touch the filibuster. It's like, it's so non-gentlemanly to do that. You know what? Please. Here's the worst family man in America, not named Brian or Byron Noam, the cross-dressing, allegedly gay husband of Kristi Noem. So this is what George Conway says. I do think we're going to have a Democratic Senate. I don't know whether it'll be 52, 53, 54, maybe even more. And when you have control of the Senate in that way, you can set the rules. And the rules this time should provide for a real trial, Conway said. Not these show arguments, these statements on the floor by managers where politicians are giving speeches, but where you put them on live witnesses. You put on live witnesses and you can show that they're lying and you can cross-examine them and they have to answer the questions. He's like losing his mind in my ears. This is what I see in my mind of him. A good trial presentation is going to be basically, I think, flip enough Republicans who will be exhausted by this. Right? That's what it is. We're going to beat you into submission and who will want to rescue their party. We already did. We already did, George. We rescued it. And President Trump's flushed out the suckers. All of the phony baloney, pseudo-Republicans. Conway added to his fever dream, J.D. Vance is subject to impeachable offenses. He may be impeached too and removed. That's also possible. After admitting he would violate the 250-year-old constitutional norms of the impeachment process. But Donald Trump is a dictator. Conway laughably added this, and we need to reassert those norms that we used to accept and take for granted. And if we don't do that, there's no one else to do it. If Congress can't do it, nobody can. Do you understand, George, how demented you are? You're a nutcase. You're a nutcase. What the hell did Kellyanne ever see in this whack job? Hey, did you hear about the 20 House Republicans who co-sponsored a bill to give amnesty to illegals? Oh my, that's next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
I got another one for you.
What's that?
So Alex Jones.
Bring it, baby. Let's go. Let's watch all of them.
Hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
Do it now. Let's do it live.
So Alex Jones on X, this is his account, so it's not someone reporting that he said it. The White House is admitting Tucker Carlson, myself, and a bunch of prominent people going after Trump had a huge effect. Alex Jones breaks down how putting pressure on the Trump administration is helping bring down the temperature of the Iran war, but it's not over yet. Netanyahu said, we're not stopping. We're going to keep hitting Iran with some of the biggest bombs yet. Now Iran has reclosed the Strait of Hormuz. So he's taking credit for.
That's a special slice of narcissism right there. Like, what?
I think.
At what price tag are you buyable? What dollar figure is it? At what point do you just chuck everything that you believe in and take a payout? Because I wouldn't do it.
I think
I couldn't do it. Now, I've never been presented that opportunity, but I know me well enough I would be outraged and offended if I was asked, which is why they didn't ask me.
I think who's going to lose the most support that how much they ever even have is Israel. If they keep bombing, I think you're going to see American people who give them the benefit of the doubt.
Stop. A lot of this is optics. And of course, because there's no live video, because there's no internet, because there's no social media sharing of what's legitimately going on, I think that it's very easy. This is a ripe opportunity to create the ultimate fake news story, right? That's very interesting. Let's see. I'm gonna read that last, I think. I'm trying to work through in my mind what I'm gonna do here. I am a trained broadcasting professional. So George Conway, isn't it a shame? Isn't that weird? So weird. All right, let's make sure we got all of our stuff to you. Collagen peptides. How you doing? All right, let me see. I'm going to pull something up. That's not it. That's not it. And that's not it. Shucks. Let me get into this real fast. So I've been telling you, and I love anything that'll help me slow down aging, right? Even if it just makes you feel better as we age. I'm good with that. Open recent. Open. Here we go. All right. I copied this. Open. Turkey. So I talked to you about collagen peptides, and it's hard to wrap your mind around what is that? It's sort of like blood flow 7. You're like, why do I want to get them? Who cares? So they have over 8,000 5-star reviews regarding this individual product. It's got to be Native Path's one of their biggest, hottest, most important sellers. The original collagen peptides powder, that's what this is, has transformed the health and the well-being of millions of people worldwide. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. It is essential to the health of your bones, your joints, your skin, your hair, nails, digestion, your ligaments, the cartilage in your knees, your shoulders, all of it. Through supplementation, so by taking a scoop of this, sticking it in your water and your whatever you drink, whatever you eat, it's flavorless and you don't smell it either. You're restoring your body's natural collagen levels so that you can achieve your wellness goals faster. And so this is the 10-gram hydrolyzed collagen peptides per scoop. It supports the growth and the repair of cartilage tissue. That's big. It relieves joint inflammation and pain. That's big. More youthful looking skin, healthier nails, and noticeably thicker hair. Improved gut health and decreased digestive discomfort. Easier weight loss and more appetite control. Apparently, there are 28 types of collagen but you'll only find the two most important parts here. Type 1 and type 3 collagen peptides in this. They make up over 90% of the collagen found in your body. So it's crucial to maintain the levels of those. That is what this is. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. GetNativePath.com/Wendy, up to 45% off. This is so cheap and such an easy thing to do to add to your life. Brock puts it in our drinks. So he and I both take it. I've used up the bag. So now we're into these. I'm serious. This is going to be something that I take for the rest of my life. I probably should have started in my 40s, but I'm starting now. And if you'd like to join me, it's an extraordinarily affordable thing to do with huge bang for the buck. GetNativePath.com/Wendy, up to 45% off. That's all I got. My friends, we're going to talk probably at the very last segment in this half hour about just kind of a stunning and baffling move by 20 Republicans in the House of Representatives to join on this measure that would grant amnesty to people living in this country illegally before Joe Biden took office. Right? So we're going to identify that there were something like 20 million people who came across the border in those 4 years who ought not have been here. Right? And if asked about it, I bet you Joe Biden, who was seen shuffling around I don't know where the hell he was. Nobody even pays attention anymore. Walks like a robot. But he would have been a great president. Right? Not those people who came in across the border, but all the other people who've been here. And I'm like, say what? So we're going to dig into that. But I want to use the lion's share of the time right here to read you something that I think is truly extraordinary. And what is extraordinary about it, of course, is that it's the technology that allowed the CIA to track down that missing airman who had ejected from his plane after it got hit deep into Iran. And the pilots ejected. This guy was the backseat guy, 44 Bravo dude or whatever they called his name. That was his call name. But how do they find him? And why do you care? This president ordered an extraordinarily dangerous mission to save one guy. One guy. Joe Biden on the tarmac was annoyed and checking his watch at the transfer of 13 dead American bodies. So I don't really want to hear from anybody out there. If your heart is beating, we will find you. This is the title that caught my attention this morning. It's from the New York Post. The secret, never before used CIA tool that helped find the airmen downed in Iran. If your heart is beating, we will find you. The CIA used a futuristic new tool called Ghost Murmur to find and rescue the second American airman who was shot down in southern Iraq. The secret technology uses long-range quantum magnetometry, to find the electromagnetic fingerprint of a human heartbeat. The electromagnetic fingerprint of a human heartbeat, and pairs the data with artificial intelligence software to isolate the signature from background noise, two sources close to the breakthrough said. It was the tool's first use in the field by the spy agency, and it was alluded to Monday afternoon by President Trump and CIA Director John Ratcliffe at a White House briefing. So you remember the president, he was like, well, maybe John will go into that, right? Well, maybe he shouldn't because it's top secret. This is what they were referring to, and apparently it's come out. It's like hearing a voice in a stadium, except the stadium is 1,000 square miles of desert. A source briefed on the program told the New York Post. In the right conditions, if your heart is beating, we will find you. The source and another with knowledge of Lockheed Martin intelligence collection tools told the Post that Ghost Murmur was developed by Skunk Works, which is an aerospace giant, a secretive advanced development division. The company declined to comment about that. The technology has been successfully tested on Black Hawk helicopters for future potential use on F-35 fighter jets. The missing and wounded weapons systems officer, known publicly only as Dude 44 Bravo, was hiding in a mountain crevice after his F-15 jet was shot down late last week, surviving 2 days in desolate terrain as Iranian troops scoured the area for the American with a bounty on his head. So fascinating. The relatively barren landscape made for an ideal first operational use of Ghost Murmur, the first source said. The name is deliberate. Murmur is a clinical term for a heart rhythm. Ghost refers to finding someone who, for all practical purposes, has disappeared. Very interesting. It was about as clean an environment as you could ask for because of low electromagnetic interference, almost no competing human signatures, and at night, the thermal contrast between a living body and the desert floor, which gave operators a secondary confirmation layer. This is so beyond, like, let's go bomb them, right? This is so beyond President Trump being like, open the effing street, you crazy bastards. And people are like, ah! There's so much high-tech nuance beyond your wildest imagination stuff going on, and it's being used. Which is why I said when we came on the air on Monday, like that operation, the operation to save that dude on Easter Sunday, should get everybody who's a high school junior thinking about enlisting in the military. Because I would, proud to be an American, proud to show muscle, proud to be part of the flag, proud to be a part of victory, proud to be a part of winning. Remember that open that we play leading into the segment? You're going to get tired of winning, the president says. In fact, there's going to be so much you're going to say, please, Mr. President, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. And he says, no, we're going to keep winning. We're going to win more. We're going to keep winning. When was the last time you heard that from the guy who's in charge of everything? You haven't heard that. Barack Obama, day number one, made a tour around the planet, apologizing for America. That's what he did. He went on a freaking apology tour. You know what President Trump did in the second term? He went on a tour of all of the Middle Eastern countries. So odd. Oman, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. Why? Why would he do that? To say like, hey guys, I know we haven't really been friends in the past, but what do you say? No. He had all of this so planned out. It's not even funny. He's so skunked everybody. He's absolutely destroyed it all. What has he always wanted to? The most lethal military on the planet that leaves no one behind. Normally, the source said, a signal is so weak it can only be measured in a hospital setting with sensors pressed nearly against the chest, right? If you've ever had your heart monitored, right? But this Ghost Murmur advances in a field known as quantum magnetometry, specifically sensors built around microscopic defects in synthetic diamonds have apparently made it possible to detect these signals at dramatically greater distances. The capability is not omniscient. It works best in remote, low-clutter environments and requires significant processing time. It was unclear for the Post sources or how long the processing time was in this use, but the dude was sitting in that crevice for 48 hours. We're able to zero in hundreds of thousands of miles of land and find, literally, this is why they say they found a needle in the haystack. Although the missing airman had activated a Boeing-made combat survivor evader locator beacon, his precise whereabouts remained unclear to search and rescue teams. A pivotal moment in the mission came when Ghost Murmur detected the aviator, with the first source describing the two technologies as both being useful. He had to come out of the crevice to send the beacon. It was less important the signal they sent and more important that he had to come out to send it. So Trump and Radcliffe hinted that the new technology, while briefing the press on the dramatic mission, which included hundreds of U.S. troops, yada, 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 no American casualties. That's huge. Radcliffe, who took no reporter questions at the briefing, said that on Saturday morning, the spy agency achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive and concealed in a mountain crevice, still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA. That confirmation was relayed by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to the president, and the operation quickly moved to the execution phase. Trump told the press that the CIA spotted the missing airman from 40 miles away, though it was unclear if he was referring to the tool's initial detection distance or subsequent observations. We don't know. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Finding this pilot in the CIA was unbelievable. I mean, this sort of stuff, you know, you'd see this sort of stuff in like the Bourne movies or any of the Mission Impossibles or any of that. No, it exists. And it exists on levels like the electromagnetic, whatever they did with Maduro, where everybody was literally almost stunned, shocked, vibrated into some sort of a stupor that allowed the special forces to go in and grab Maduro and his wife and be wheels up and out before they came out with bloody noses and ears. What happened to us? Yeah. And the guy from Great Britain News, Alex Armstrong, he's telling Keir Starmer, the prime minister, he's telling the people in Europe, he's telling NATO, he's telling all of them. Do you not understand? He's not only not needing us, he's moved on beyond us. And I don't think we can crawl back into those good graces. You guys screwed the pooch. I wanted you to hear this because I don't think that you will get any fair take from the media. And the next, I think, several 48 hours maybe are pivotal. Brock just read me something during the commercial break where President Trump is saying, what was that, Brock? You said that President Trump, they want to know who's paying these social media influencers, people like Megyn Kelly, people like Alex Jones, people like Tucker Carlson. Are you being compensated? Are you being manipulated? Who's funding the fake news? And how did they get Trump allies to take the bait? Well, we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about these 20 House Republicans who've decided to say, you know what? All of you illegals who've been here breaking our rules for so many years. Yeah, well, you should just become citizens. Say what? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Ghost Murmur. I was like, what? Very cool, you guys. I think it's badass. All of it's badass, and we should celebrate it as such. The Rumbles, on the other hand, well, a little lack. Hi, Froggy. I'm praying for you, Froggy. Thanks.
I hope this isn't true, what I just sent you.
What are you sending me? Gives me a page doesn't exist.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Breaking in an infuriating development, the killer of Irina Zarutska was just found to be incapable to proceed on the state murder charge brought against DeCarlos Brown Jr.
I don't know what that means.
The guy who killed.
No. I understand,
Oh.
but what?
Hopefully, it means they at least keep him in jail.
Yeah. Incapable to proceed. The dude was talking to himself. He's schizophrenic, and he asked for help.
He should have been incapable of getting out.
And the police were like, "There's nothing we can do." What? I can't fathom what she felt. I hate everyone. I really don't. I love you guys. I'd love you more if you got us up to 2-7, guys. We could do it. We could do it. 200 people. That's all we need. Ghost Murmur. Now, I don't know if the New York Post was supposed to have all of that, but I just shared it. So there you go. So where did you see the Alex Jones thing? Is that the thing that's not opening? Yeah, that doesn't open. The thing before Irina that you sent, I can't. It won't open. What is that?
That was the Alex Jones saying it. The one I read, I don't know where it is now.
Yeah, see if you could do that again, if you can send it again. If your heart is beating, we will find you. Dignity Act. Please. How about Suck It Act? Don't break our laws and live in our country. Go through the process. If you've lived in America for 20 years, why is it taking you 20 years to become a citizen? You didn't take the time. Okay.
Did that go through?
Wow.
Did it go through?
Yes, in all of the responses, he's gonna. Wow. I'm sorry. Yeah. When I say to you, I'll never lie to you, he's now gone off the deep end. I don't know how you'd ever listen to anything he says again. Honest to God. What a disgrace. Douche. Sorry.
It's very liberal of him to take that.
I'm sorry, but you can't flip me on a dime. How do you fundamentally change what you think about somebody? Because you don't fundamentally change it in to the Wendy Bell radio program. I want to read you this. These 20 Republicans are pushing for amnesty. Is your congressman on the list? Well, many in my state are. Let's read what this is all about. A contingent of House Democrats and Republicans have banded together to advance an amnesty bill that they definitely want you to think is not about actual amnesty. 20 Republicans so far have joined in as co-sponsors on the bill, betraying the agenda of the Trump administration and the will of the electorate. And I want to read you, this is what, I guess it didn't copy for me, but Brandon Gill wrote a fantastic response to this. Make no mistake about it. It's called the Dignity Act, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what it says. If it gives amnesty to any illegal alien who crossed the border before 2021, that's about 11 million people. Okay, this is what they don't tell you. So we're going to say, look, before Joe Biden, you came here, you broke the law, you lived here, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And we're going to wave the magic wand and we're going to say, that's okay. You're all of a sudden an American citizen. Good luck. Really? And then it also is going to give amnesty to any illegal alien married to a U.S. citizen, of which conservatively there are another million of those. Now we're up to 12 million. Oh, wait a minute. It also massively expands visas, including permanent residence for F1 international students. So students from China and others that come to America to allegedly study, well, all of a sudden, I guess you can be a citizen too. That's another million, 1.1 million. 13 million people who are not Americans, and 20 Republicans signed on to this and were like, that sounds like a really good deal. Really? What is going on? Let's read who these people are. You ready? If you're in California, your representatives Valadao and Young Kim voted for it. These are all Republicans. In Colorado, Congressman Gabe Evans also. Let's do it. Florida, Maria Elvira Salazar, Mario Diaz-Balart, and Neil Don, Zachary Nunn, Marlon Stutzman, and James Baird. In Nebraska, Don Bacon. He sucked for years. We're not surprised. I am surprised by Michael Lawler and Nick LaLota in New York. Pennsylvania, Mike Kelly. Oh, Mike. How do you think President Trump would feel about that? Brian Fitzpatrick, who's really just a liberal. Lloyd Smucker, Texas. Monica De La Cruz, Virginia. Jennifer Kiggins, and Dan Newhouse in Washington. Those are your 20 House Republicans who believe that 13 million people should just go ahead. You know, it's backlogged. It's so much work to get you through the courts. We'll just do it all together, okay? Everybody join hands and repeat after me. No. What a terrible idea. What a stupid idea. And to call it the Dignity Act. Are you out of your mind? Yes, they are. I want to wrap up today, if that's not enough to infuriate you. There's something going on here with these right-wing influencers like Tucker and Alex Jones and all these other people. All of a sudden about facing flipping, saying Trump's lost his mind. He's a crazy lunatic. Oh my God, it's the last straw. Where's the 25th Amendment? Get him out of here. Impeach him, right? What happened all of a sudden? Well, President Trump wants to know. And so it'll be very interesting if they do a dive, a money dive, an influence dive to see what happened. This is what Alex Jones just put out not that long ago. He says the White House is admitting that Tucker Carlson, he and a bunch of prominent people going after Trump had a huge effect. Alex Jones breaking down how putting pressure on the Trump administration is helping bring down the temperature of the Iran war. Really? The responses to Mr. Jones are nothing but a crematorium-style inferno, sort of like Lahaina or the Palisades. I'm right on the precipice of unfollowing you, dude. I've stayed with you through the entire Sandy Hook thing. You got seriously shafted in relation to that, but this, you are right on the line. This other person, nope, you went too far. I've been a loyal listener since you started in this industry. We're the same age, and what you did was complete crap. You're a leftist drifter. This other person, complete clown. Shut the F up. You are done. I mean, something else is at play here, and it's an influence operation. There is a major propaganda drive, and whether it involves paid actors who go out and protest on behalf of this or that, no kings, right? Or it's something even more nefarious. Who's paying these people to flip? And how will they ever claw back? Thanks for being part of the Wendy Bell radio program. Love being with you guys. Let's do it again tomorrow, okay? Love you. Peace.